Welcome to the 86th episode of the Supernatural Occurrence Studies Podcast.
So damn paranormal.
My name is Jason Knight, host of the Animal Farm, and with me today is Mr. Oscar Spector, the lovely producer extraordinaire.
Hey guys, what is up, guys?
Joe Erie, Dave Black, sitting this one out, but that's
usual.
okay, as per usual.
Yes.
But that's all right. We're going to continue. Listeners expect a show. So this evening we're going to be talking about some heavy stuff.
Yep.
It's going to be heavy.
Heavy bro.
I probably have to... Should I issue a warning? Is this a warning episode, like Adrenochrome?
We did issue a warning for that one, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
You didn't for the Chicago Ripper crew, though.
I didn't. And that was kind of brutal, too.
Right. We should issue a warning, I'd say. I think that'd be a good idea.
For sensitive ears, turn it off. Listen to something else. We won't be offended.
People with vivid imaginations, also.
Yeah, or if you're alone in a dark room right now.
Actually, that'd be cool if you're alone in a dark room, listen to it.
When I was researching this, I was alone in dark hotel rooms, and I was fucking freaking myself out.
Yeah.
So, warning listeners, this is going to be a rough one, but we'll mention the topic in a little bit.
Yep.
It's a quick catch-up. What have you been up to the past couple weeks?
You know, Jay, every once in a while, there is something pretty great that happens in the psychosphere of culture.
Oh.
And even more rare than that is something that you and I can connect with.
Oh, this sounds great. I'm excited. What is it?
And the name of that thing is True Detective.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I done did.
I love all seasons of True Detective.
I know you love the second one a lot more than most critics do. It is a downer from the first. I love the first one with a capital L.
I mean, the second one couldn't hold a candle to the first, but I still enjoyed it.
I still enjoyed it too, yes.
I like seeing Vince Vaughn. I like seeing Colin Farrell. When Colin Farrell whipped that bully's father's ass, man, it was fucking great.
I only saw it that one time. I don't remember that scene, but I remember scenes like, for example, the creepy scene in that season, not to get sidebar too much, is that, remember when they go into that rich man's mansion where they have all those call girls or whatever they are and they're fucking them freely? It's like a weird sex thing.
Yes.
Yeah, that was creepy.
You thought that was creepy?
Yeah. Well, I mean, no. The show didn't get to like Eyes Wide Shut levels of creepy.
Right.
But it was the implications.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I love that. That was a great season. Great season.
Yes.
So what do you think of True Detective Season 3? Should we say spoiler alert at this point?
We should say spoiler alert at this time, yes.
Okay.
When you're hearing this, by the way, the latest, meaning the 7th episode, would be released. We're recording this before that release, so it won't be that spoilery because we don't know the future. However, we are spoiling episodes 1 through 6 of the latest season of True Detective.
So we're doing like a little
mini review because it does kind of connect with our shit, though. It does kind of it does that. Don't you think so?
Maybe in a way.
I think
this works.
I mean, especially with today's episode, for example, we're going to be talking about some murderer dude, and you already know what we're talking about. This is the title of the episode is what you
right. You saw it on iTunes.
I don't know why I'm hiding. I'm trying not to say the name, but we are talking about something that True Detective in several ways delves into, which is like psychopaths and the people who catch them. And
nice.
And this particular thing, it spans decades, which we love. We love, in this case, the 80s, 90s, and 2010s. And I love this show. And I love the character work it does. But the thing that connects to our show is that some of the theories, because a lot of it is unprovable at this point, theories about a society or social club or a band of people that hook up together to do these atrocities, or at least to support each other through such atrocities, either to keep them in the dark or to enhance and do them further. And I think this show is peeking into that a little bit. Talk about pink room business.
You know what?
Yeah.
You didn't talk to me about this tie-in to tonight's topic off air.
Yeah.
But I think you're right.
Yeah.
I do. Especially considering the big picture I'm trying to put together with this show kicking off tonight. This big picture of kind of connecting things.
That's right. You were telling me that. That's off the air. That's some heavy shit that's going to come out through the pike in this show later on through the years. Or year. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. It connects way better. And honestly, season 1 connects in that way too, because their job wasn't done. They caught their killers. Spoiler for season 1. But they do catch their killers. But the overall big picture of it, like the society isn't brought down.
No, you're right.
The rich people behind them that had the tapes and the safe and the houses, all that wasn't brought down at all.
Okay, you're right.
Yeah.
So is there a possible tie-in between True Detective Season 1 and True Detective Season 3?
Well, that's part of the, what is it, the theories circling around like Reddit and things like that. Not that I read personally, but I've heard through other people who have read it, because I listen to other podcasts about the show, but I don't go out reading stuff.
You're not a Redditor.
No, overall it seems like I have bad experiences. I've only done it like twice. So I will say that what I heard is that based on some clues, I think in the next of thing segment, and I think something within the last 6 episodes, there was like a brief mention or like a glance at the events that happened with Russ Cole and Marty from the first season.
From Season 1, yeah.
Yes. And, the fact that Woody Harrelson and Matthew McConaughey are still executive producers of the show. At least
right.
They are for this season.
Yeah.
Means that they could very easily come back to do a reprisal.
It's the same world.
Yeah, but it's the same world. I mean, they're not in the same state, but same country for sure. And it looks like same shadiness of kids involved. And, in this case, it seems like a bit of reprogramming, but also murder, because they do murder the first child.
Yeah.
And they pose him all saint-like. And the church connection, the religious connection.
The religious connection, right.
That's a big thing from Season 1. Again, a big part of the big picture that wasn't fully established or fully, caught in the first season. So, yeah, it could be a part of it.
Oof. I can't wait to see how this plays out. I cannot wait to see how this plays out. So, what are some plot points that really grabbed you? I mean, if I could kick it off with...
Yes.
And I text you as soon as I saw this on screen. You're like, I didn't watch it yet.
Yeah, I remember.
They mentioned... It was in like episode 2 or 3.
Yeah, the reporter mentions it, right?
The reporter, right, mentioned the Franklin cover-up.
Yes.
And we covered the Franklin cover-up briefly in the Adrenochrome episode.
Right, not a full episode. Did you want to make that a full one? I don't know if you did. Did you mention that you did?
Okay, I do eventually.
Because you mentioned some other one.
Yeah, we definitely got to cover the Franklin cover-up at some point.
And a lot of this shit connects, and a lot of this shit, it seems kind of like a little bit real. Like a little bit like it could be real.
Taken from real life.
Yes.
Yes.
And so the fact that the Franklin cover-up is just mentioned there, I think it's there. I mean, because it's too small. I mean, don't you think it's too small of an Easter egg to mention that if it isn't preparing? Because people who know about the Franklin cover-up are what? Not many people.
Probably. You're right. Sick fucks like me and you.
I've only known... And I'm only the sick fuck because you're the sick fuck who told me.
Right. Guilty by association.
Right. And...
but I think True Detective does that, though. Like, if you think about Season 1, the main killer, that creepy serial killer, who I still get goosebumps thinking about, they showed him in passing riding a lawnmower.
Yeah, I know.
And that was it. You'd never seen him again until, boom, the big reveal.
Yes.
So same thing with the Franklin cover-up. They just dropped it. They just showed it for a second, mentioned it for a second, and then dropped it.
Right.
But is it going to circle back? And they said in Season 3, there's this big baddie who's a big black dude with a dead eye, right? Mm-hmm. The leader of the Franklin cover-up, this King guy, was a big black dude.
Yeah. Did he have another one?
He did not have a dead eye, but I mean, the connection's there.
Yes.
The connection's there.
There's nothing there.
Right.
Also, it's funny how those two people, the white woman and the black guy, who were in the car in the 80s.
Right, the fancy car.
Possibly in the ghost outfits, right, doing Halloween.
Yeah,
yeah. I think it's funny because that hasn't been discovered yet. Now, who they are, I'm saying.
No.
And that could be a big hook. Maybe they could be the OG kidnappers to potentially this Hoyt family. So at the end of the episode 6, they deviate from our detective characters. I forgot their names. I'm sorry, off the top of my head, I forgot their names. But it's Mahershala Ali and
Stephen Dorff.
Thank you. We break off from them, and we show just the point of view of Tom Purcell, I think his name, the father of the kids.
Yes,
and he gets off drunk. By the way, I think that's his last. I don't think we'll see him again. Do you think we'll see him again?
I hope so. I like that guy.
Because, I mean, it ends very ominously. So either he gets framed for something, like it's part of the cover-up, or he gets killed and we never see him again.
Well, I mean, we still don't know who was put in jail.
Right. We still don't know. Right.
In the 80s or 90s? 90s.
This is the 90s.
He would have been jailed in the 90s.
Right. He would have been
jailed. So it could be the father, Purcell.
Right. But also the fact that they haven't... I mean, in the future, when they talk about the reporter and doing the interviews and stuff, they haven't mentioned that.
No.
So I'm thinking it's not him. I'm thinking this is the last time we see him. And I think this episode 6, is a farewell episode to the father. By the way, great acting by Scoot McNairy. Because he goes through the entire breakdown. Remember the interrogation room and Stephen Dorff breaking his own heart for interrogating this guy who he helped get to sobriety. Yeah. And then we see this guy fall from grace by drinking, beating up his uncle or whatever that guy is, that douchebag.
Yeah, brother-in-law or
whatever,
brother-in-law or some hillbilly shit.
Some in-law. Yeah. And with a gun, he gets that information, that crucial information to go to that mansion, the Hoyt family mansion, and then see the pink room.
The pink room.
And then saying his girl's name before some guy in the back creeps up behind him.
Yeah, and he's looking at something.
Something
caught his attention right away, and he said, "What, Julia? What's his daughter's name?"
Julie, I think.
Julie, yeah.
I think so.
And whoa. And then it just goes to black. I'm like,
see, the fact that it's that estate, and that it is the prominent big family of that town and anything around there, much like you see in a lot of movies or a lot of stories about small town America, one big business will have the one big company, right? That's keeping the town afloat.
Right.
This is it. This guy is it for that town.
Okay.
So that means... that opens doors to so many conspiracies on what looks to be a smaller level because they're small towns. They're not into big cities.
Right.
That's the point. You'll be swallowed in a big city. In a small town, not only are they kings, but they can hide in plain sight. They can get away with things a lot easier, open territory with the forest there. And if you want to hook season 1, they had like a connection. It was a society of people that let these fucking meth head crazies, like the serial killer from season 1, go out there, either get victims for them or take victims for themselves in addition to get victims for them for rituals and God knows what. It was fucked up.
It is fucked up.
So I think it opens all this can of worms. I'm not saying the show will go there. It'd be great if it does because for us, that's what we want.
Yeah.
However, the more I think about it, cinematically speaking, it would be kind of cheesy. I can see it being cheesy for a lot of people if they do go in that route. Don't get me wrong. I want it to work there. I want it to go there. And I hope that if they do, the writer, Pizzolatto, makes it work in such a cool, dramatically awesome way. And I'm sure he can. But it's just that most people don't like when everything connects so well. It seems cheesy for a lot of people. I love it. I love it. I want to see it.
I can't wait for episode 7. Another day and a half. What do you think about the author wife? I forget names. I'm sorry.
I'm bad with names too. The wife.
The wife.
Yeah, the nonfiction writer.
True
crime writer. Sorry.
Yes,
there's a name for everything.
What do you think about her?
Yeah, I know a lot of people were saying that she's involved.
Yeah, somehow.
I don't think so. But if she is, I'll be a big. Because I don't think so. So it'll be a surprise for me. But I don't think so. Like so this is the one thing that's been annoying me a little bit about the show that I think is on purpose is how this couple spats at each other.
Not a good couple. Not the best couple. But they have great makeup sex, apparently.
Oh, they have great angry sex. Oh my God, some of the best angry sex.
Hate fuck.
The chemistry about hate fucking is amazing. Top 10 worthy. Yeah. But it seems like their relationship is entirely based on... they even show, was it 2 episodes back on when this guy did I forget what it was. Maybe it was after he killed that Native American guy in the 80s. Remember, they were still like kind of dating. They weren't dating, but they were like hanging out. He first had sex with her, or they have sex with each other the first time is on the back of that. Like he comes in distraught and fucked up, and that's their first first time. That describes their relationship and how fucked up it's going to be.
Good point.
But the thing is that part of the reason that it's annoying now to see them spat at each other, her calling him like emotionless or the way he reacts to things and him being so fucking militant about his family staying at home and not doing anything, right?
Oh, that reminds me of something. But yeah, go ahead.
I think all that's supposed to let you... I think it's a nice way, very creative writing way to get you to be as sick of these discussions and these fights as they are.
Well, it works.
Because, it's amazing how the show is able to take decades of a relationship into just a few episodes.
Yeah.
I like that. Anyway, what were you going
to say? Something happens to his daughter. The cop's daughter. The partner, the tracker, the black guy. Can't remember his name.
Yeah, the Vietnam War veteran.
Yeah. Something happens to his daughter, too. Later in life. His daughter's not there anymore.
Wayne Hayes.
Hayes, yes. Something happened to Hayes' daughter. So the son is there. He's a big, buff, beautiful cop. But the daughter's missing. She's gone. Something happened, and he doesn't talk to her anymore.
Well, he forgets. Well, the thing is that a lot of speculation. That's great about the speculation. I love the season because he's having Alzheimer's, right? I think is what it is.
Terrible.
Full on.
Yeah.
So he's forgetting shit. I think he either has forgotten that his daughter died, probably with the mother in some sort of accident. It could be related to these murders.
Oh.
Because the mother was very she does investigation work.
I didn't even think of that.
She does investigation work in episode 6, with the orphanage.
Yes.
Finds out about the pink room more and about the girl changing her name constantly. She's just as good, I think, probably as Hayes is being a cop. Like investigative wise, she was able to write this book. It's huge, things like that. It probably goes a long way with her investigative journalism angle. So I think the fact that we see that, and if the show does want to go this way, I think her and her daughter might have been killed in some sort of accident, either provoked by her investigation,
right? Yeah. That's fantastic.
But the thing is, it could just be a personal thing, most likely, because I don't know if I want it there either. And she just killed with her daughter by accident in a car accident. He just forgot. And so the son keeps. The son is probably still saying like, "Oh no, she went off to California,"
right?
Because he doesn't want him to go through the entire process of like remembering,
grieving,
and feeling grief.
Yeah. I didn't even think of that.
That's probably lying.
That's
for his
a
Alzheimer's.
Brilliant thought.
Yeah.
I bet you you're right.
Maybe.
I bet you you're right. They went together.
Or it could just be that he was just telling the truth, and the daughter doesn't want to be there because she grew up in the same household and it's all fucked up. It could be any of those, right?
Or she became a victim of this thing.
Right, it could be. I don't think so.
Oh, God, that would be horrible. Hayes, no.
Hayes, no.
He's so great when he's an old man. He's great.
He's such a good actor.
And Steven Dorff, what the fuck?
Dude, Blade himself.
Blade, what happened since Blade? This guy took acting lessons or something?
He definitely did.
From The Gate to Blade to this.
The Gate.
The Gate, remember that shit?
No, I don't remember. I haven't seen it yet,
dude, those little creepy monsters?
Yeah.
He's fantastic, too. Steven Dorff is great.
Dude, yeah.
They're just wow.
Yeah.
And I was saying off air that, I'm like, I love it, but man, is it fucking slow. Something better happen soon.
Yeah.
And you're like,
a lot of people are antsy.
But you're like, yeah, but it's completely character driven. I mean, that's really relying on the actor's skills and everything to keep carrying it through. And you're absolutely right, because it is everyone in there is great.
Right. What you remember about the first season isn't necessarily only the killers that they meet; it's how these detectives doing things.
Oh yeah,
from the crazy cheating Will Harrelson does to Russ Cole's fucking weird loner shit that he spouts and shit. Existentialism and shit. Yeah. That's what you remember more.
Fucking great show, man.
I love it.
Fucking great show.
I'm glad they took 3 years. They almost took 3 years off, I think, right?
Is that how long it was?
At least 2.
Since the Vince Vaughn season?
At least 2, yeah. But I think it's 3. Yeah.
Yeah, oh man. Can't get here quick enough, man.
I know.
Can't get here quick enough.
I know.
I would really like to see a Franklin cover-up tie-in, just because that ties right into what we talk about.
I honestly probably don't think they'll mention the Franklin cover-up again, unless they do it as a comparison to that theory. But I do think there will be a major cover-up involved. I just don't. It'll probably be fictional. It'll reference Franklin cover-up by making a different fictionalized cover-up. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
Because I'll also be honest, if Franklin cover-up is true, will they let a Hollywood guy write a story about them?
Yeah. Maybe, I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe.
Who knows? I don't know the rules, man.
I don't know either. Maybe they'll be like, that's too unbelievable to be true. They won't.
Go ahead and play it.
Right,
Go ahead and do it. Yeah.
Go ahead and do it. Yeah.
No one's going to believe it anyway.
Because Pizza Loud is a little crazy. He's a little nutty. The writer.
Is he as a person?
As a person, I hear strange stories. You know what I'm saying? Like him and the director, got into a lot of spats. That's why he's not back.
Oh.
The first 2 episodes of this current season was directed by this other really prominent director that I love. His name is Jeremy Saulnier, and then they have like a few fights. Like clearly, the guy is very determined, but also kind of crazy and mad and psycho.
Huh.
So a lot of writers are though. And let's face it, most writers are drunks. So God knows. This is all hearsay. I don't know the guy, but anyway, yeah. I can see him being crazy enough to research something like that and try to put it on screen
and working
somehow.
it in.
Yeah, maybe.
Wow.
I can see that. Also, the other bit of news is that we found out through news, I found out, I told you, that a certain cool actor is going to be playing the Hoyt lead family man.
That's right.
Right, Michael Rooker.
Michael Rooker, yeah.
So if this is the first time you heard it, I guess that's not a spoiler. It's just a bomb.
It is a bomb.
It's just a fact.
Because I think he's going to be fantastic playing
You don't cast Michael Rooker for no goddamn reason. You cast him for a good reason. That guy can play psycho. I mean, he made psycho image for a lot of serial killer movies in the future by doing the Henry
Portrait of a Serial Killer.
Check that out, guys. It's an 80s movie.
Oh yeah, definitely
about a Chicago guy too. I mean, he's not from Chicago, but he's killing in Chicago in the movies.
Right. Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
And Michael Rooker, he was in Guardians of the Galaxy. He was
the weird guy's name Yago.
Yeah, Yando.
Yeah, with the weird arrow.
He controlled the arrow. He was all blue.
Yeah.
He was in Walking Dead, right? Merle. Yeah. What? Wow. That's going to be powerful.
That's a good actor. I love that actor.
Dude, we should do an episode just right now on this.
Well, that's what I'm saying is that the reason I'm mentioning it now, and I told you about it. Sorry, guys, it's a long intro. To a long episode, by the way.
Oh, yeah. We got 15 pages of notes.
Yes, we'll get to it right now. I'm sorry.
No, it's cool.
But I want to mention this because the next time we come back for the next show, whatever it is that it'll be just when the season ends.
You're right.
Exactly right.
You're right.
2 weeks from now. So, it'll be perfect for us to capture it again and see what we thought.
Get the reaction. Yeah. Oh, I can't wait, dude.
So, it's, also my way of putting cinema into this.
Yeah, no, it's great.
Because that's
I
what
love
I do.
it. You asked if we could do it. I said, hell yeah, let's talk about it. Switching gears.
Yes.
We gave Talia the talk.
Oh, what
our daughter.
Oh, the talk.
The talk.
Capital T.
Capital T.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oof.
What words did you mention? Any golden...
No golden showers.
No golden showers.
No,
okay.
Listen to outtakes, maybe. I don't even know if that's going to make it into the outtakes.
I think it's the addendum for the bonus episode.
No, it's, she's 10. Mm-hmm. She's incredibly intelligent.
I think it's a good time, too.
Yeah. And,
I think girls should get it sooner, too.
Nico was in the room at the same time.
Oh, really?
And he was just saying the craziest shit. Oh, like what? Penis! I'm just laughing. And
it was double team, you and Katie? Or just one of you?
It was both of us, yeah. Because I want Talia to know she could come to me and, hey, Daddy's been there, too.
Yeah.
So she could feel comfortable with both me and
Daddy
and my
has
wife.
tricked women to have sex with him.
Can we edit that out?
No. Does she listen to the show?
No.
Okay, good.
Although if it wasn't the topic it was this evening, I was going to have her sit in and just bullshit with us. But
oh yeah, we haven't done that forever.
But yeah, me and Katie sat her down, and she's been having questions lately that she's asking my wife. So we decided to sit her down and have the talk. And
yeah,
it wasn't as hard as I always imagined it would be. It was sad for me because
she's growing up.
This is a little person now. This isn't a baby, and we didn't sugarcoat anything until she asked about. Well, then, how do gay guys have sex?
How do you sugarcoat that? With rainbows?
No, that's when we stopped. We're like, yeah, we'll talk about that another time.
Oh, that's what you meant. I think because the way you said the sentence.
And she goes, well, then how do lesbians have sex? They don't have penises.
Now, have you seen a pair of scissors? No, I'm kidding. Yeah. That's terrible. They don't do it that way.
And so
that's such a bit.
In those two, we stopped because how do you talk about it? How do you do that right now?
I mean, I would have continued.
Would you have really?
Yes, I would have. Because that's but no, that's me though. I don't have kids. I don't know how it feels.
Yeah, and me and Katie both looked at each other and did the shake. We both felt uncomfortable on that one.
Yeah, I hear you.
But we told them everything. We told her everything about how the babies are made, what the act is, what happens.
No pictures or diagrams.
No pictures or diagrams.
Because I've seen that before too.
Talked about before, during, and after. How life changes the moment it's done.
Yes.
And talked about virginity, and we talked about boys, what boys want.
Right.
They want what she's got, and peer pressure, and we kept circling around to you got to be in love, you should be married when it happens.
Okay. Tradish.
It probably won't. I'm sure it won't. But we try to.
Did it with you?
No. And I told her everything. She's like, "When did you do it, Daddy?" 13. She goes, "What?"
Yeah.
There was a lot of giggling on her part. There was a lot of, "Ew, you and Mommy did that to have me and Nico." We're like, "Yeah, we did." Matter of fact, if we could fucking stop this conversation, we could go do it right now.
Yeah, if you don't kill the buzz too far, kid, we can do it in 5 minutes.
But it was it wasn't as bad as I always imagined it would be for the last 10 years thinking about this.
Well, because you have 10 years of, what's the opposite of hyping?
Yeah. It was just very, very conversational. She took it fairly well. Like I said, just some giggling ew. And but she had some questions about condoms.
Okay.
Stuff like she's heard the word condom. What is a condom? We told her what that was, and she said, "Is there any other ways you could do sex?" And me and Katie looked at each other. We're like, "Yeah, there's other ways, but we could talk about that later."
Is that reference to some sort of foreplay? Is that what you mean?
Well, oral or anal or we're not going to talk about these things yet. When in due time, I guess.
You didn't tell her the religious Christian way to get away from having premarital sex?
What is? No, we did not.
Did not mention that loophole.
Did not mention that. But we did keep circling back to love and marriage and respect and don't just give it to anybody. She asked, "Oh my God!" She asked, "Well, what's a whore?"
Oh wow!
Because a girl at school called her a whore and a bitch, and I'm going to fucking find this kid and I'm going to kill her.
Yes.
So we explained exactly what that is.
I assume you described a whore as a prostitute.
It's just a girl who has sex with many people. Yeah. That's what people mean when they say the word whore.
Gotcha. So you didn't describe anything about money involved?
No.
Okay.
No.
That's good because that whore is not that.
I mean, there's always 15,
15. 5 years from now, huh?
But I think we handled it pretty well. We didn't really sugarcoat. We just stopped when it started getting... How do you talk about fucking anal sex with a 10-year-old?
Did you mention that? See, I would have done this as a big selling point on top of the, that boys will do whatever to get that kind of thing, because I'm sure that's a big point for you.
Yes.
Because dad's going to get a shotgun. But I would have focused on also, I just thought it was not, so maybe not, how some of the biggest regret you have in life is the moment after sex.
Yeah, exactly.
Like when... Because sex is a funny thing. Not all the time, but not none of the times. Where it's second it's over, it's like life comes crashing back.
Oh yeah, you are not thinking during sex.
It's not the same like getting drunk and you do things that you regret because that you have an entire night of sleeping or it goes away gradually. Yeah. This is instantly.
It really is.
It's the instant ramen soup of regrets. That's
It truly. You're absolutely right.
I would have fucking zeroed in on that shit. You have no idea how many things you regret for a lot longer than sex takes right after sex.
And maybe we kind of hinted at that is how life changes instantly after you're done having sex for the first time. But she asked about who did I do it with first, and
nice.
Stuff like that. And she asked Katie the same question.
You bust out a photo album. These are all the women I did.
Right. Oh, she did ask how many.
Oh, really?
And me and Katie are like, we don't really know. We just a few.
Yeah, saying a number is not going to do anything.
Right. So that's what happened this week, and it was interesting and sad and funny all at the same time.
I hear you.
So that's what was new with me.
That's a hell of a new thing. I mean, all I got was True Detective.
Wait till you have kids.
Valentine's Day passed. So.
Oh, happy Valentine's Day, listeners!
Yeah. Did you like my GIF? My picture? The picture?
Yes. So if anyone listened to last episode's outtakes...
Oh, yeah. That's right.
They would realize that those text pictures.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the pictures Lexi's been sending.
No.
Oh, so... Okay, well, I gotta finish my sentence now,
I thought you were just moving on.
No. So if listeners heard the outtakes of the Serpent Mound episode...
Mm-hmm.
They would have realized that Oscar is actually a really romantic motherfucker. But he makes his significant other work for that romance.
Yeah, it's really just that I focused on.
Yeah, so listen to those outtakes and know that the puzzle for Oscar's love is progressing nicely.
Yes, I gave her the final piece she needs.
He's got her working for that love, man.
Yeah, I gave her the final piece.
And I love it. I think it's fun. I think it's keeping things interesting. It's great.
She's been texting me today. She's like, I found something.
You wouldn't have. Yeah, maybe he would have. The basket, really?
Yeah, the basket.
It's cool stuff. You got to hear the outtake.
Yeah. One day, I know you told me on that outtake, you were saying that I should document this. And maybe after all said and done.
Right, for our YouTube channel.
I can get all the pieces together or something. And then
that would be cool.
Show everyone, whatever. Yeah.
That would be cool. I'm sure listeners are going to want to see the big picture once it's all over.
Right, yeah.
I love it. It's cool. Got to keep it fun.
Yep.
Once it gets stagnant, you're dead in the water.
Probably. Like fishes and sharks.
Like fishes and sharks.
All right.
Should we run down some social accounts?
Oh, yeah, that's right. We haven't done that yet.
Do you know our Twitter and Instagram?
Oh my God. Chicago Ghost?
Good. At Chicago Ghosts.
Oh my God, I nailed it.
Twitter and Instagram is at Chicago Ghosts.
It took 86 episodes for me to remember.
86. Yeah, that's right. This is 86, right? Yep, it is 86. YouTube. Oscar?
Same thing?
Supernatural Occurrence Studies.
Right. That's what I said.
YouTube.
That's what I said, yeah.
But listeners, when they go to YouTube, because we got a lot of cool stuff there, they got to subscribe and hit that bell. So they're updated every time we upload new content. And we do upload content. So there's a lot of good stuff there. Email, contact@chicagoghostpodcast.com. Matter of fact, we would love to hear your opinions of the new True Detective Season 3.
Yeah.
Email us. Let us know what you think. Contact@chicagoghostpodcast.com. Website. Do you know the website, Oscar?
No.
chicagoghostpodcast.com. There's a lot of good stuff on that website, too.
I'm sure. No, I've seen it.
I've seen a photo.
Yeah. I mean, I experienced the show, so.
If listeners like what we're doing, and they want us to do more, they want to send us on more trips, do crazy podcasts.
If you want me to actually visit our website.
If you want Oscar to visit the website, you want us to get hurt, maimed, or killed, bringing you exciting content, donate on Patreon. Patreon.com/Supernatural Occurrence Studies Podcast.
Such a dad. / slash.
www.
Right. Remember you used to do that all the time?
Dubs.
We finally got you out of that, by the way.
You don't need the www anymore,
Right.
Jay.
Yeah.
Patreon.com/Supernatural Occurrence Studies Podcast. Donate to the cause. We'd love you for it. Oscar, they could call or text, listeners, could call or text anytime at a Chicago area code. 872-529-0767.
It's not true.
That's 872-529-0767. We'll play your voicemails on the show. We'll read your text on the show. People love hearing themselves broadcast across the globe. So send us a message. Send us a text message.
Text a message.
Send us a nice text message. Facebook, at Chicago Ghost Podcast on Facebook. We actually received a wonderful review on Facebook last week. So I would like to read that. I always say if you leave us messages, we'll talk about it, right?
Yeah, before you read that message, though, there is because we have a litany. Is that the right word? Of ways you can contact us and whatever.
Tons.
You always forget this one, Jay. I know I always forget too, but I'm remembering this time around. You could send a carrier pigeon to P.O. Box 666. Kidding.
1313 Mockingbird Lane.
Right. 123 Fake Street. Go ahead. Now we do.
Thank you. So on our Facebook page at Chicago Ghost Podcast on Facebook, we received a message from Autumn Lead. Hi, Autumn. This is a quote. I can't tell you how much. I can't. Let me start over.
Open quote.
This is a quote. I can't tell you enough how much I love this podcast. My friend Randy Tucker shared your podcast while talking about the supernatural with me. I have listened to every one and have been waiting for more.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Can't get enough. You may or may not have been compared yet. I'm fucking this up. But each of you reflect the Big Bang Theory characters. Could you guess who is who? I love it.
Well, you're Sheldon.
I think 81 is my new favorite. That's the Adrenochrome Nightmare episode.
It is pretty good.
You take my mind to so many different places, yet let me decide what I believe. And facts. You gather, you deliver, you even give information so I can dig in too. I love you guys. Thank you for your amazing delivery, research, truth, and entertainment. End quote. Autumn Lead.
Oh my God, that's so cool.
Autumn, we love you.
I am bashful.
I know,
don't know
right?
what to say.
We love you so much. Thank you for listening, for the comment. We hope to keep you entertained and hope to retain you as a listener.
I'm sorry that I one episode when we were all drunk. I'm sorry.
Oh, God. Episode 13. Episode 13.
You remember really well.
Yeah, Don't Drink and Podcast. That was a fucking mess.
Yeah.
But
so what Big Bang
right
character are you, Sheldon?
So we did communicate, and I laid out my
Your theory?
Theory on what it is. Mm-hmm. I didn't write it because it wasn't her direct quote, what she left for us, but she did write back. I would have to find it.
Bastard.
Could we edit this out if I pause?
Yes.
Okay. All right, Oscar, you wanted to know how the Big Bang Theory characters fell out, right? Mm-hmm. So I wrote back to Autumn. I said, let's see. Big Bang. Oscar is Rajesh. Joe Erie is Howard. I could be Sheldon. And Dave Odd is Stuart, the comic book guy. LOL.
Yeah, okay.
So she wrote back, she goes, I don't know what you all look like, but I could only compare voices to TV characters.
Nice. Well,
I had you as Leonard, so me, Jason Knight as Leonard. Oscar is Sheldon.
What?
Joe Erie is Howard. Dave Black is comic store guy. Katie is Penny. And Lexi is Amy. And Rajesh has to be Randy Tucker.
Okay.
Because he's afraid of girls, too. And then she said, anyway, thank you again and keep up the great work.
So you said that I was Rajesh.
Yeah,
she said I was Sheldon.
Oscar was Rajesh, and she said, no, you are Sheldon.
I am not Sheldon.
You are Sheldon, my friend.
Well, I did get a spin-off show where I'm a kid, so maybe I do.
Yeah, and I'm Howard. I'm like the short guy.
Yeah, the Jewish guy.
She pegged me on that one with the height, anyway.
Yeah, she pegged you on the height.
Katie is Penny, Lexi is Amy. I think that works. Wait, Amy. Which is Amy?
The funniest character on that show.
That's the blonde, right? The high-pitched blonde.
No, that's Katie.
No, Katie's Penny.
Katie's Penny. Penny, sorry. That's Penny.
Amy.
Amy's the one that's dating Sheldon.
Blossom.
She's
Blossom. Mia Bialik.
She plays.
That's the character. That's the actress. Mia Bialik. Blossom from the Blossom TV show. That's the one dating Sheldon.
Sure.
But who's Howard's wife? What's her name?
Oh.
I thought that was Amy. No, Amy is Sheldon's girlfriend.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Amy is Sheldon's girlfriend. I haven't seen the show in a while. I stopped watching it.
But she's comparing by voices. That's who it is. That's how we fall out.
Well, I'm going to tell Lexi about that Amy thing, and I'm going to laugh at her
he's
face.
Texting her right now.
Oh, no, I'm not telling her. I don't think she's even seen the show. I hope so.
But anyway, Autumn, thanks, man. That was just a great comment. That's exactly what we're out to do. So you get it, man. Thank you.
Bernadette.
Yes, that's Howard's girlfriend.
Yes.
Or I think now wife. So, Oscar, let's take a break.
Okay.
This episode of the Supernatural Occurrence Studies Podcast is brought to you by Gamefly.com. Right now, for our lovely listeners, Gamefly is offering a premium, free 30-day one-game trial. That's one free game trial shipped directly to you, with a pre-addressed envelope included for super easy returns. No contracts and cancel at any time. Go to www.gameflyoffer.com/ghost. That's gameflyoffer.com/ghost. Choose from over 8,000 new and classic games for almost any console imaginable. Remember, that's www.gameflyoffer.com/ghost. Start your free trial now. Welcome back to the podcast. Listeners, please check out our sponsors, follow those links, and help support the show.
Or don't.
We're hungry.
We're hungry?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant you were referencing
support.
the ad.
We're hungry for support.
Okay.
You know what I didn't mention in my social media lineup is leave us an iTunes
Pigeon
rating.
carry? Oh, okay.
Leave us an iTunes rating. You're probably listening to the podcast on a phone right now. You could rate right there.
Yeah, or a telegraph. You could send a telegraph, right? Through Morse code?
No.
Through the Bell Company?
I don't think so.
Nope.
Ma Bell?
Ma Bell?
Ma Bell.
Wow.
Could you connect me to Chicago 0172 right away?
Yes, sir.
That's the way they used to do it. Isn't that fucking weird?
Did you know there was a... Oh, my God. Why would I get on a tangent? Continue. This is the main part of the show.
Yes. So, the lights are turned low.
They are, yeah.
The drinks have been flowing.
All this is true today.
And the ceremonial candle is lit. Mm-hmm. How lit is that shit?
Hella lit.
Lit as fuck.
Do people still say hella?
I do. Let's start this show.
All right.
Model citizen. Businessman. Children's entertainer.
That's so cruel.
Vice president of the Jaycees. Loving family man. Devout Catholic. Democratic Party precinct captain. Parade leader. Sociopath. Sexual deviant. Serial rapist. Serial murderer. Killer clown. The man we're talking about tonight is one of the most notorious serial killers in modern history. John Wayne Gacy. Gacy murdered at least 33 young men in Cook County, Illinois, between 1972 and 1978.
Yep.
33 victims are known. 25 were conclusively identified by DNA and dental records. 7 remain unidentified, and 1 victim's identity remains disputed. These stats are as of May 2017.
Wow.
Now, outwardly, John Wayne Gacy, he was a pretty unassuming guy. Baby-faced, even. He was 36 at the time of his final arrest. He had a round face, was considerably overweight at 230 pounds, and standing only 5 foot 8 inches tall. His hair was light brown and shaggy and graying at the temples. He had blue eyes and a nubby chin and big sagging jowls. And people liked Gacy. He was gregarious, friendly even.
I mean, you don't lead a parade for nothing.
Right. Exactly. He was very active in his community, promoting unity and safety among his neighbors. He was into politics and became a Democratic precinct captain in his section of Cook County, Illinois. He was a member of the Jaycees, a high-ranking member, as a matter of fact. More on his involvement with the Jaycees a little later.
What's JC? I'm sorry.
JC, it's a men's club.
Okay.
It's a men's club.
What's it stand for?
I don't know.
Jizz Club?
Yeah, well, it's funny you say that. But I'll get into the Jaycees a little later. Gacy was even the director of Chicago's annual Polish Constitution Day Parade.
Wow.
Where he got to meet, shake hands, exchange pleasantries, and even take a picture with First Lady Rosalind Carter, and was cleared by the FBI to do so. And of course, to show how compassionate he was, Gacy would dress up as Pogo the Clown and entertain children at hospitals and parties. A real man of the people, Gacy was. Now, born in Chicago on March 17th, 1942, to Danish and Polish parents, John Wayne Gacy was the second of 3 children, having an older sister named Joanne and a younger sister named Karen. Gacy's mother was Marion Elaine Robinson, and his father, a severe alcoholic and a mentally unstable World War I veteran, was named John Stanley Gacy.
Where's the Polish side?
I think it's his mother.
Okay.
I think in the mother's lineage was Polish.
Okay.
Now, since an early age, whenever the Gacy kids stepped out of line or merely said something Daddy didn't like, John Wayne Gacy and his sisters would receive severe beatings with a razor strap and blunt objects from their severely alcoholic, mean, aggressive father. At around age 4, Gacy's father beat him over the head with a broomstick so fucking hard that he rendered his son unconscious. At age 7, Gacy was molested apparently on multiple occasions, by a male family friend. At age 11, he was struck in the forehead by a swing, which caused a blood clot on his brain that went undiagnosed until he was 16 years old.
You're kidding.
Nope.
Wow.
So think about serial killer checklist, right?
Yeah.
A lot of abuse, molestation, head trauma, okay?
I mean, that's what Richard Harris's books have been all about. Serial killers come from that kind of history.
Exactly.
Abuse, systematic abuse.
Exactly. Now, because of the head trauma, young Gacy, he would suffer seizures, and he was actually born with a congenital heart condition. And because of the seizures and the heart condition, Gacy's father looked at him as if he was defective. He was an embarrassment. His father would call him a sissy and a mama's boy. He called Gacy dumb and told him he'd likely grow up to be queer and that he'd never amount to anything. And to make matters worse, if it wasn't bad enough for young Gacy, he loved his mother, Marion, very much. But he had to witness her getting her ass whipped constantly by his old man. So yeah, needless to say, Gacy's childhood sucked. But according to his sisters, the beatings and mental abuse toughened up their brother. And he hid his emotions since a very young age. According to his sisters, when his father whipped and beat him, Gacy never cried. Now today, looking back, experts think that because Gacy suffered so much at the hands of his father, he grew to become unemotional, uncaring, and completely void of empathetic feelings for other people's feelings and needs. This was the birth of the monster. I'm not trying to elicit sympathy for Gacy. He was a piece of shit.
Yeah.
But it's important to know where he came from.
No, I mean,
and all those triggers for a potential serial killer, future serial killer, are there. A good number of them.
Real quick though, is that I think I can. Don't want any of this to happen, obviously, but I do empathize because, scientifically speaking, this is just cell-based work right here I'm talking about. The cells of a child to the man that he will become are all completely different. More than arguably, scientifically speaking, you can say that the same person is not there anymore. Like, you are not the same person. You don't have any bit of you than the Jason you were when you were a child.
You don't think so?
Because the cells have regenerated, the ones that you had back then died, replaced with what you have.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Literally speaking. I actually do sympathize with John Wayne Gacy as a child, having gone through this torment, while still completely unsympathized and completely, like, wish we caught him earlier kind of thing, on the adult that murdered.
You're right. You're right.
The only thing that connects those two things are what? Memories.
Yes. And then it gets into the whole conversation, are people born evil? Are they made evil? Nature versus nurture?
I've always thought that no, even though there have been many examples to the contrary, but they're smaller compared to the larger extent, which is, yes, the history does make, your upbringing makes you, right?
So that nurture.
Yes.
No, that's a good point. You're right. No, you do have a point. Yeah. I do think there are just bad seeds born.
Yeah.
And they're fucked since birth before anything happens.
Yeah.
There's a screw loose.
Yeah, I think so.
But I think at the end of the day, after doing all this research for so long, I don't think Gacy was the screw loose bad seed. I think he was created. Yeah. I do think he was created. Mm-hmm. So I guess, maybe to retract on my statement a little bit, I do kind of feel sympathetic for this boy.
Right. Much like The Painter and Velvet Buzzsaw, your favorite movie.
Oh, Velvet Buzzsaw.
Sorry, I'm kidding.
So at school, so that's kind of his early age. Now, when he entered school, teachers, from what I could tell, they generally liked Gacy. Mm-hmm. They said he was pretty smart, but he was a loner. Not a bad kid. He was just a loner.
Yeah.
But because of his heart condition, he couldn't really play with the other kids. He was told by doctors, no sports, no rough play, no running, shit like that.
Yeah.
So because he couldn't play with the other kids, he was alienated. And because he was alienated and not playing sports and kind of bullied, right? Yeah. Of course. Now in high school, Gacy was tormented by these developing, blossoming homosexual feelings.
Yeah.
And I really think he hated himself for those feelings. He certainly couldn't talk about those feelings at home.
Definitely.
Because his father was fucking kill him, right?
Yeah.
So this self-hatred of having these homosexual feelings grew into something terrible and insatiable and deadly, as we'll see here in a little bit. Now, Gacy went to high school at 4 different high schools. He went to Schurz.
I've been there.
Right? Yeah.
I didn't go to school there. But
no, I've been there 1,000 times with friends. And
I think I dated someone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He went to Prosser.
Oh, God.
And a bunch of people from Prosser I knew, too.
Fuck Prosser.
Cooley Vocational, which I never knew, and Providence St. Mel, all here in Chicago.
I don't know those last two.
Yeah. But he never graduated high school. So he dropped out. And after dropping out of school, permanently out of high school, and to get away from his abusive father, Gacy hightailed it to Nevada. He moved out to Nevada, where he became a mortuary assistant at the age of 18.
He used to death, you mean?
Dude, so he slept in a cot behind the embalming room. And one night, something creeped into Gacy's head. He decided to crawl into a coffin, which contained a deceased teenage male. Gacy crawled in, got real comfortable, and he proceeded to embrace and caress and fondle the corpse.
How is this known?
Gross. I guess by the mortuary owners, whatever, got out.
They caught him?
The stories never said how he was caught.
Because it seems like a very personal, at dead of the night kind of thing he did to himself.
Yeah.
Unless he said it.
Somehow it got out.
Right.
Maybe he told somebody. And this story is reiterated through every Gacy bio you can
I'm not
read.
saying that's. I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Okay. Like they noticed the coffin at the wake that it looks like disheveled and shit.
They wake up, they open the coffin, and Gacy's sleeping in there. I don't know.
Right, yeah.
It's gross, but it gives you kind of his state of mind at this point. He also learned the art of embalming, dissection, and the liquefaction of bodies.
Yeah.
Skills he would employ later in life. Now, he didn't last in Nevada too long. Instead, he returned to Chicago. And even though he didn't graduate high school, when he returned to Chicago, he managed to get himself enrolled in Northwestern Business School, and he graduated college in 1963.
That's strange.
Now, in 1964, while working for the Nunbush shoe company, the Nunbush Shoe Company, it's kind of hard to say.
Yeah, kind of. I've seen the company now.
Right, they're still in existence.
Yes,
they're still here.
Yeah, you can buy one.
So in '64, after graduating, he got a job as a shoe salesman at the Nunbush Shoe Company, right here in Chicago. And he was an up and comer in the company. He was doing really well. So because he was up and coming, Nunbush transferred Gacy down to a Springfield, Illinois location to take on a more sort of management type role. Mm-hmm. Now, down in Springfield, Gacy worked hard at Nunbush, and he shot up the ranks in the Jaycees, Springfield Jaycees, an organization, get this, which was a nonprofit venture aimed at providing opportunities for young men to develop personal and leadership skills through service to others. That's their mission statement.
Wow.
Gacy was a vice president of this organization. It's so fucking ironic.
Yeah.
Now, as I said, Gacy made it all the way up to the vice president of the Springfield Jaycees. Now, the Springfield Jaycees, these were some odd dudes. Outwardly, they were doing all these positive things to help empower young men. But behind closed doors, a lot of the JC members did drugs, watched all types of pornography, swapped wives, and banged hookers.
Wow.
Gacy even claims that after being fed a bunch of drinks and falling asleep on another JC member's couch, he woke up to the guy, his fellow JC, blowing him. Bunch of weirdos, man. Anyway, it was at this Springfield, Illinois Nutbush location. Oh, my God. Nunbush location that Gacy met and fell in love with his first wife, Marilyn Myers. And he and Marilyn would have 2 children, Michael and Christine. And at the time, they were pretty much living the perfect American dream sort of life.
In Springfield.
So now Gacy, he was bisexual, okay? Now Marilyn, she came from a very wealthy family that owned a string of KFC franchises, Kentucky Fried Chicken franchises, in Waterloo, Iowa. The stepfather, the father-in-law, offered Gacy a job managing 3 of his KFC locations in Waterloo. And Gacy accepted, and the family moved to Iowa. And from all reports, he did really well managing these 3 locations, earning over $115,000 a year in today's money. So the Gacy's were doing well. At work, Gacy was honest, hardworking, a little abrasive, but, I mean, hey, a Chicagoan in Waterloo, what do you expect? Gacy even insisted that people call him Colonel, after the KFC Colonel.
Of course.
Cute. But this is where shit starts to take a turn.
Real quick, before you say that turn, is this the last time we mentioned JC?
I think so.
Okay.
Maybe just real briefly. And
2 questions then. What does JC stand for? You still don't know.
It's Jaycee.
Oh, it's not it's not letters. It's probably 2 names combined.
You could probably look that up really quick.
No, I don't use it.
Digress from my notes.
No, don't digress. I was just asking.
Are you sure? Because I could look this up.
No, I was just asking because I'm sure people will want to know. I guess I can look it up. JC, Jaycee.
Yeah, there is a longer term name for this organization, but yeah, they always go by the Jaycees, and it's Jaycee.
Okay. Okay, don't worry about it. The other thing I was going to say is that, is this like a JC Manor? That's interesting. No, I know it's not it. Okay, it's okay. No worries. It didn't come up right away. It came up with actors' names. I don't know. Anyway, what do you think of this JC place being like a hotbed for deviants?
Man.
For business owner, deviant types that help young people become their potentials.
And the young males specifically.
Right. It's like you're creating
the best they could be.
A boys' club to deviants, right, or something?
At least this particular chapter of the JCs at that time in history certainly seemed like it was for something else. It's like
a local version of some of the crazier theories we have about
Freemasons,
right?
It's kind of along that line.
Like it's like their first.
They're not as conspiratorial, but it's this fraternal brotherhood of men,
right,
getting together. It's all stag parties and drinking and porn and
right. It's used to drink at 9 in the morning or whatever.
Right, exactly. Basement porno movie shows.
Right. I just don't want to skip
cheap
that.
Beer.
I didn't want to skip that because it seems like a red flag in our, at least in Illinois history, that this place existed, and maybe they still do exist. I don't know how many of these clubs still exist. I'm sure they do. I only heard of them. Never been in one in my life. And that this one seems to have a dark chapter during this decade or two. And it also speaks to how, the opposite of the lucky dice falling on Gacy to have all these experiences to make the fucking perfect serial killer.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yep. So, JC's, United States Junior Chamber, also known as the JC's, is a leadership training and civic organization for people between the ages of 18 and 40. It's a branch of Junior Chamber International. Okay. That's according to... to their website here. United States Junior Chamber is another name for, or JC's is another name for United States Junior Chamber.
Got it. No wonder I couldn't find it right because JC is not enough.
Yeah. But great questions. I should have had that in my notes.
No, it's okay. But I mean, also if people want to
it goes all the way back to 1920 as well.
Wow. It's also good to give our audience some information like this, so if they want to look it up for themselves and
absolutely
get their own info, whatever background.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. So, so the Gacy's are kind of living the high life in Waterloo, Iowa, making $115K plus a year. Things are fucking good. He's being called the Colonel. Everyone loves him. Although there were reports at the various KFC branches he managed that Gacy showered a lot of attention on the male employees. He had both male and female employees, but he was always after those male employees. So there was some inklings there, some signs.
Yeah.
But this is where shit starts to take a turn, right? All the while, Gacy's married to Marilyn and living the greasy KFC dream. John Wayne Gacy is craving men, young men, boys even.
Yeah.
In March of 1968, Gacy forced 15-year-old Donald Voorhees,
I know, right?
To perform oral sex on him. On December 3rd, 1968, Gacy was sentenced to 10 years in Anamosa State Prison in Anamosa, Iowa, for both the Voorhees case and an attempted sexual assault of a 16-year-old named Edward Lynch. Gacy was convicted on the assault charge with Lynch and convicted of an oral sodomy charge for Voorhees. And he was convicted on an intimidating a witness charge because Gacy paid another man, someone who worked at one of his KFC locations, named Russell Schroeder, to beat up and mace Donald Voorhees to get Voorhees to drop the charges he filed against Gacy.
Yeah.
So now we're starting to see a little downward spiral here.
Yeah.
Now, immediately after Gacy's sentencing and imprisonment in Iowa, his wife Marilyn divorced him.
Yeah.
Good for you, Marilyn. And that's really where Marilyn and the kids step out. You don't hear anything about them ever again.
But
they get ghost.
I mean, that's good. Good for them.
Right.
Get the fuck out when they're getting. Yeah. Thank you. Good job. Did she any suspicions on her part? Zero. He was a loving father. He was a loving husband, caring husband, sociopath, huh?
Provider. No inkling whatsoever that he had this other side, which is really creepy.
And to
how well these guys can mask the dark side.
In a way, him being such a model father, hopefully he didn't create other Gacy's with his kids, so that's good.
That's the other thing, too. Try to research his kids, nothing.
That's probably on purpose, though.
Yeah, thank God. Those kids would be haunted for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, they must be still haunted. They must have like completely secured numbers all the time. They probably never.
Probably not even the same names anymore.
Probably not even the same names. They probably don't have a Facebook account. Things like you just don't.
Right.
Yeah, that's probably true.
It's great because they just step off the pages of history and they're gone.
Yeah, they're probably told from early age. This is your father, or maybe not even that. Maybe like your father ran off, or
right? Exactly.
Oh, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Okay.
So now, out of that 10-year prison sentence, Gacy wound up serving only 18 months. After he got out, part of his parole was he had to move back to Chicago. So he did.
So Iowa didn't want him.
Iowa didn't want him. Mm-hmm. So he moved back to Chicago and he started a new life, a new path of destruction. Now, while on supervised parole in Iowa, remember, one of his parole terms was to leave Iowa and move back to Chicago, but he was still being supervised. He was again charged with sexually assaulting another teenage boy. But this charge was dropped because that boy never showed up for court. That was gone. He got lucky. Gacy did.
Oh.
That was in 1971. In June of 72, 1 week before marrying his second wife, Carol Hoff, which we'll talk about her in a little bit, an old high school flame, Gacy was charged. This is right before his wedding. Gacy was charged with impersonating a police officer when he dressed up as a cop, flashed a fake badge, and forced a young boy named Jackie D to perform oral sex on him. These charges were dropped, too, because the complainant tried to extort money from Gacy to drop the charges that he filed against him.
Yeah, he was able to prove that to the court.
So again, Gacy got off.
He was able to prove to the court that the victim was trying to extort money from him to not testify.
Yeah,
and that created a non.
He's creating this thing just to get money out of me. It never happened.
Wow, I wonder if that's true. What kind of a backward system is that?
They had this guy so many fucking times, dead to rights, and they let him go each time.
That's like the Zodiac when after he killed the cabbie, the cops saw a weird, suspicious guy, but they were looking for someone with a completely different build. They just got the description wrong.
Yeah.
Right after the murder of that cabbie guy. Oh my God.
Now, after this Jackie D thing, later that year, Gacy and Carol Hoff got married. Carol had 2 daughters from a previous marriage, and they all lived in Gacy's house on Summerdale Avenue, which he purchased with financial help from his mother. And this Summerdale Avenue home eventually became the Gacy House of Horrors. But, just like the first time around, being married didn't do anything to quench Gacy's animalistic urge for boys. It was just too much. So he started killing. He stopped having sex with his wife. He kept on killing. He started bringing gay porn into the house. And he kept on killing. He would even show up with young boys in his car to the house, and his wife would see him, and Gacy would say, "Oh, they're just friends." And he still kept killing.
How old boys?
And burying in his crawl space.
Yes. That's the big one.
So we're going to get into the profiles of these guys and young men and boys.
But what are the age range?
14 up to later 20s.
Okay, so basically high school level.
Yes.
Basically.
High school and beyond. But never past 30. Never past 30.
And he himself was in his 30s.
He was arrested at 36.
So at least 30.
Well, yes. During this period, he's in his early to mid 30s.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Because if I'm just obviously there's no what if because it happened. That's the whole reason we're here. But it's amazing how if I don't know if some sort of I doubt that if the culture was super cool for gay guys during that time.
Right, which it definitely wasn't. Right?
It definitely wasn't. But it wasn't as bad as other times for sure. But it's still not good times.
True, you're true.
Especially with 70s is a strange time. Not only because of hippies and stuff and acid and there is a little bit of freedom in there, but with him and his upbringing specifically, he probably wasn't seeking those kind of things.
Exactly.
So he didn't have the people around to say it's cool to be gay. But also it's right around the corner from the AIDS thing. But that's more 80s, right? 70s, late 70s. I'm just trying to picture the time he's in. Yeah, it's a really fucked up time. It's really serial killer building time, and
it definitely that's a great point. It definitely seems that way.
It's a really bad time because it's the 50s is the last decade. A lot of let's just face it, white Americans say it's their best decade.
Generation, right?
Right. And talk about downhills and upwards and downward slopes of both culture and people. 60s for sure, huge. People forget the 60s entirely. That's how fucking crazy it was. And then the 70s, you could just see the movies. And then the 80s, very strange. We try to get back into swing of things, which is why the hair was so bad. And then the 90s stabilized, and we have X-Files. And now we're here.
We have X-Files.
Yeah, we have X-Files, which is
X-Files and flannel shirts.
Which is an outcry to just get more problems because we got used to 3 decades of problems.
That's right.
Sorry, I just went through.
No, it's great.
The thing there.
Now, Carol, before they got divorced, had no idea what was happening right underneath her and her daughter's nose.
You're kidding me.
No, she had no idea. So eventually, Carol got fed up with being neglected.
Yeah.
Had enough of Gacy's bullshit, and she and Gacy divorced in 76. But in 74, 2 years before Carol and Gacy divorced, Gacy started his own construction company called PDM Contractors, standing for Painting, Decorating, and Maintenance. Now, with the contractor business in full swing, which brought in a steady stream of young men looking for work, and Carol gone out of the picture, Gacy was home alone in an empty house with his urges. And that's when shit got balls to the wall insane. Gacy's preferred method of killing was overwhelmingly strangulation and suffocation.
Yeah.
A very personal way to kill someone.
Yeah, very, very urge-like, very animalistic.
And you're there in their eyes.
It also feels like controlled, controlled compulsion or something. Because, you think of those it feels like a crime of passion, but he is steering it so it's like controlled in a way. Because they're all kind of crimes of passion, but he sets them up, right?
Oh, he definitely set them up.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It's like a lot of predetermined stuff, of course, but usually crimes of passion, that's the whole point. They're instantaneous. They're in the moment.
Yeah.
It's like he does both at once.
A lot of stuff was in the moment. Right. Some of the more animalistic stuff, but he did a lot of plotting and planning. And
right, but he probably gets, when he gets the victims in that right spider web, right, the center of it or something.
Oh, yeah.
Like he'll start, I don't know, let's say talking to him or doing God knows what. He gets to a point where they resist a certain amount or they say the right thing that gets him to that compulsion to strangle. Like he sets himself up to do the crime of passion. It feels like. Yeah. Don't know really for sure. But
we'll see how this falls out.
Mm-hmm.
So as I mentioned, his preferred method of killing, overwhelmingly, strangulation, suffocation, right? Only one victim was stabbed to death with a kitchen knife, and we'll get into that later. Gacy lured young men to his home at 8213 West Summerdale Avenue in Norwood Park Township, near Harwood Heights in Norwich, Illinois, with the promise of construction work, drugs, mainly the ganj, weed, and alcohol. Now, once at his house, Gacy would either get his young victims stoned or drunk or both, then ask them if they wanted to see the handcuff trick. During the handcuff trick, Gacy would handcuff himself and then show this miraculous escape and make a show of it. Gacy would then ask the unsuspecting victim if they wanted to try the handcuff trick, and that Gacy would show him how it's done. And once his victim was secure in the handcuffs, either behind their back or hands behind the back, or they're cuffed to a bed, that was it. It was all over. Gacy would then spring into action. This big man could move quick, pinning the victim to the ground or just sitting on their chests. He would then strangle them to death using a makeshift tourniquet, something he called the rope trick. This fucking guy liked tricks.
Yeah.
Gacy liked the rope trick because he could watch his victims die slowly. Sometimes he'd suffocate his victims by shoving clothing down their throats, like their underwear. Gacy would torture his victims, whip them, burn them with hot pokers and candles, and rape them with either himself or with sex toys, or both, and violently. He would use these guys, these victims, as sex slaves for as long as he could, sometimes before strangling and suffocating them.
Yeah. So it wasn't always post-mortem?
There was never any proof that Gacy was into necrophilia.
Right. I'm asking because of the funeral home thing.
No, yeah, that's a good, right. But there's no proof
so
that
they
he
were all
ever did
alive
that.
during this?
Yes.
So he would strangle them, well, I guess almost to the point of death, or at least to make them go to sleep and then do stuff.
Then do stuff. They'd wake up and
Right.
he's ramming them with a massive dildo.
Right.
Pain hurt, so it was so bad they would pass out again. Or he'd chloroform them repeatedly.
Right.
And do whatever the fuck he wanted to while they were knocked out. They'd wake up and fucking do it again.
Right.
Just savage shit.
Yeah. Very vicious.
This is a real sick piece of shit, this one. And it's even believed that sometimes, while in the process of murdering his victims, Gacy would actually dress as his alter ego, Pogo the Clown. Just fucking imagine that.
Yeah.
It's terrifying.
That's like tweaking his craft, as sick as it is.
Yeah.
It's like tweaking it, like adding in a spice to it. The way people add in lingerie for a date night later on or something.
Exactly. Or
It's
some
like
little
really
whip play or something.
It's human and it's human in a way where we can relate to that, but it's fucked up because of the way it is.
Hey, if it's consensual, dress up and fuck his clowns all you want.
Right.
That's cool. It's fun. Everyone's having a circus.
There are furry conventions.
Exactly. That's fine.
Yeah.
Between two
Right.
consenting
Of
adults.
course,
But like you're saying, in the situation.
But it feels like that.
This,
it's like adding in.
Yeah.
Thing,
especially for people out there with fears of clowns, that is a horrifying image.
Oh, man.
I mean, that's it in life. That's Stephen King's it in real life.
Yeah.
Which I think Stephen King used Pogo as inspiration for Pennywise.
Yeah, definitely. Pennywise came after this, right?
Yep. I think that's a true thing.
And you're a big Stephen King guy, so you will know more.
Yes.
Especially you read the book and seen the movies and the horrible TV special.
Oh, yeah.
And,
yes, I did. I love the TV one. I think the TV one's better than everything.
I grew up with it, so I do have nostalgia for it, but I don't remember anything about it other than I was afraid of it. But I don't remember anything about it. I'm sure if I watch it today, I'll hate it. But yeah, I mean, it does show a lot of the cultures. Like, you think of Freddy Krueger. It was based off a bully named Freddy Krueger that Wes Craven had when he was a kid.
Oh,
like all these
I didn't
things.
know that. It's cool.
Yeah, he said that once in an interview.
That's awesome.
All these things are insane like that. Like they all connect to some reality thing. It's just amazing.
Cool.
Yeah, byproducts of stuff.
But so sometimes it's said that Gacy would dress up as Pogo to commit these atrocities on these unsuspecting men.
Can I just say something very strange?
Sure.
Sorry, I'm so sorry.
No.
I'm only saying this because I just got this now. I almost said her pet name I have for herself, Lexi. She asked me like, "Oh, what are you guys recording about?" And I told her John Wayne Gacy, and she texted me like, "My old teacher was his neighbor."
Damn.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
That's what she just said.
That's right, because Lexi's from the neighborhood.
Yes.
She's from around where
she grew up in Norwich.
That's right.
Yes. And I live right by Norwich, too.
Ooh.
Not in Norwich.
Oh, I got stories.
Yeah, I bet.
I got stories.
Oh, man.
Well, I'll save those for the end. But now, you see, as infamous as John Wayne is as a sick, sadistic, murdering piece of shit, he's probably even more famous. Infamous? I don't know.
Yeah, infamous.
As his alter ego, the killer clown known as Pogo.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Sweet Tooth Metal, Twisted Metal is probably created from that. Like,
yes,
you think of all
exactly.
these. They're actually probably exactly right.
I think you're right.
All these things that we know is just fucking based on this fucked up guy.
Yes. So while Gacy was running around murdering young boys and men by the dozens, he would also moonlight as Pogo the fucking Clown. He would dress up in full clown regalia costume.
Probably leaving trace evidence everywhere in people's houses and shit.
Listen to this. And he'd entertain neighbors and children at huge neighborhood parties he would throw, or at charity events, or in parades.
Yeah.
And actually, it was while he was acting as Pogo that Gacy perfected his evil handcuff trick, practicing it right in front of unsuspecting people, on people.
I was going to say, is that how people knew, or how authorities found out about this handcuff trick?
No, people who escaped told authorities about handcuffed. And we're going to talk about, too, specifically one escapee later. Okay. But
I was curious about that.
It on people.
That's so bold and fucked up.
That's the kind of guy he was. So he was never going to get caught. Right?
That's so risky. Yeah, you do like a few dozen.
I am unfucking stoppable.
You do 5 and you get away with it. You think of how many don't even get away with 1, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
So now for the listeners, I'll leave a link to a picture of Gacy dressed up as Pogo in the show notes. But I'm warning you, if you don't like clowns, don't fucking click the link. Because it's terrifying.
Yeah, he didn't.
And his makeup turns into something. Now, here's something pretty interesting. Gacy's choice in clown makeup. I discovered this doing my research. The way he painted his face as a clown, whether intentionally or not, said a lot about his real personality.
Oh, kind of like art imitates life kind of thing?
Yes. Okay. So now most clowns, just normal everyday fucking clowns, right?
Yeah.
When they apply makeup, they try to avoid sharp angles on their face because sharp angles could appear threatening, especially to children.
Yeah, I bet.
So they opt instead for these lopping round shapes around their eyes and mouths and on their cheeks. Mm-hmm. Gacy as Pogo was the complete opposite. And again, I'm going to leave a link to the picture. He drew very sharp angles around his mouth and his eyes, almost like a subliminal wink to his evil, murderous side. It's very strange. Yeah. There's something there.
Like he couldn't get away with it. Get away from it or something.
I don't want to give away the gift yet. So now, in the beginning, Gacy would store his dead victims in a closet inside his Somerdale Avenue home.
Yeah.
But for Gacy, this proved to be inefficient because, as he said himself, liquid, would often leak out of victims' mouths or other orifices, even though Gacy would stuff body cavities with victims' underwear to prevent leakage. Yeah. Kind of a twist on a skill he learned as that mortician's assistant.
Yeah.
So instead of the closet where everything was leaking out, nearly all of his victims wound up buried in his dirt crawl space. Now, authorities strongly believe that while Carol, his second wife, and the kids, her daughters, his stepkids, lived in the Somerdale house, there were bodies already in the basement, and that the basement cemetery was being added to on a regular basis. In fact, Carol herself thinks that murders were committed while she was in the fucking house.
Was it that noise canceling?
It must have been, or she was asleep, or Gacy just said, I'm going to be working in this other room here.
Maybe turn on one of the construction saws or something.
Right, or in the garage.
I mean, do you think that on the first day he's like giving an IQ test? Okay, it's low enough. You won't figure this shit out.
She can move in.
Right.
Now, if Carol ever questioned, because it was in the dirt crawl space.
I shouldn't blame her about Jesus. If I know,
come on.
Literally under your nose. I mean, I don't know every situation, but Jesus.
Well, I mean, the Somerdale home wasn't a mansion.
Right.
You know, there wasn't a west wing and an east wing to this motherfucker.
But also, you ever notice in serial killer movies especially, they always have the longest basements.
Right, yeah, these super villain basements.
Right, I'm like, where is this apartment?
No, this was a 4-foot crawl space.
Right. Yeah.
Underneath the house. And in those neighborhoods in Chicago, I grew up in those neighborhoods.
Do you think he purposely didn't choose like bigger children?
No, I don't know.
For that reason? Like just skinnier the better? Scrawny? I'm just curious.
I don't think so. I don't think he put that kind of thought
No,
into
probably not.
You know?
Okay, I'm just fucking sorry.
But that's how a lot of those houses were. These older houses built in those neighborhoods. They didn't have nice cement basements, drywalled and everything like we're sitting in right now.
Yeah.
Oh, I had a fucking dirt crawl space. And it was nasty and scary and dirty and cobweb and spiders and mice and rats down there. It was horrible.
Yeah.
But so this is what we're talking about, right? Now, if his wife Carol ever questioned the terrible smell coming from the crawl space, and she did, Gacy just told her it was stagnant water mixed with dirt, just crawl space funk. And when the basement got too full, there were too many bodies in this crawl space,
Oh, my God.
Gacy resorted to throwing 5 of his victims off the I-55 bridge into the Des Plaines River, one of which landed on a fucking passing barge when he threw the body over, like a movie, like you blew your hand off. Wayne's Tom Hanks.
No.
Tom Hanks. He's very proper. He was a robber. Damon Wayne.
Lady Killers.
Lady Killers, yes. When he throw the body over and it lands right in the fucking barge.
Yes.
Same thing happened to Gacy, man.
What a strange... that was a strange reference.
And he never got caught.
No one's talked about that movie since
I
it
love
came
it
out.
because my favorite part of that movie is, hey, jackass, you blew your hand off. Bloot. Instead of blow your hand off.
That's your favorite part?
Bloot.
That's why you remember that movie?
Fucking hilarious.
Okay.
You blew your hand off.
I'm just saying. You're
Okay.
Okay.
So it landed on a passing bar. I mean, shit right out of movies. Now, only 4 of the Des Plaines River victims of Gacy's were ever found.
Oh, not the
but
fifth, huh?
He tossed over 5.
Over 5?
Yeah.
How is that known?
Gacy.
Oh, he just said it?
From his confessions.
Yeah.
So, now, I'm going to get into how Gacy got caught in much greater detail when I talk about his final victim, Robert Piest. But for now, Gacy's final arrest happened on December 22nd, 1978. And I say final because he was arrested multiple times for doing these assaults and sexual batteries and stuff.
Is this the assaults and batteries throughout this time period?
No arrests. No arrests while he was murdered.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Making sure. Okay.
Suspicion, but no arrests.
Gotcha.
So his final arrest happened on December 22nd, 1978, where he chillingly admitted to police officers that he had been, quote, the judge, jury, and executioner of many, many people, end quote.
So he said it?
So he fucking told authorities.
That's how he said it?
Yes.
God, the ego.
This guy is, yeah, exactly.
My God.
Now, after he said that quote, he then confessed to killing 25 to 30 people. He didn't even know how many fucking people he killed.
Oh, yeah. After a while, you lose count of people you slept with.
Yeah. Now, ultimately, Gacy was charged with 33 counts of murders before Judge Louis Garippo. His trial lasted 5 weeks, but it took under 2 hours for a jury to convict Gacy on 12 counts of murder. And on March 13th, 1980, John Wayne Gacy was given 12 death sentences and 21 natural life sentences.
Mm-hmm.
So now, I want to digress here for a moment.
Yeah.
And I want to mention that Jason Knight, I have a personal tie with the Gacy trial.
And so does Lexi, apparently.
Well, yeah. Now, when I was younger, I was a demon. I was hanging out with the wrong crowd, getting into trouble, doing stupid shit, and constantly breaking curfew. My mom drove my mom nuts and my grandparents nuts. Now, one night when I was out past curfew, I got arrested, okay? I had to go to court. My mom came with me. And the judge I stood in front of was a man named Judge Sam L. Amarante. And this judge was really hard on me. He was a dick. Read me the riot act. He had me do all sorts of community service and write an essay of apology to my mom and to the court.
Oh, wow. Wait, two separate ones or one for
one
copy
for both?
Okay,
yeah.
gotcha.
And I was like, man, fuck you, dude. But before I left the courtroom, Amarante said to me, he goes, do you know why I was so hard on you? And of course, I'm like, no. Then he proceeded to tell me that back when he was a lawyer, he represented a man that preyed on boys, just like me, running around all over the place, doing stupid shit, not listening to their parents, and breaking curfew. He said that man's name was John Wayne Gacy.
Oh, wow.
And me and my mom just stood there with our mouths hanging open. We're like, oh, my God. It was so weird.
Yeah.
So that's my personal tie to the Gacy trial.
Yeah, that's like to a kid your age, especially with what you love about reading about serial killers and all this stuff. Like, it's probably like saying, like, dude, what do you mean? I talked to Mick Jagger. He says to you before you to be a good kid. It's like a rock star for you. It's like a big name.
It was being
especially there in Chicago. Fuck
yes.
Fuck
he defended fucking Gacy, man, and I stood in front of this guy and was sentenced by this
court-appointed defendant. How hard do you work on that job? He probably like, no, I'm just fucking life.
Oh man, that's nuts.
Yeah.
But anyway, Gacy, he spent 14 years on death row at the Menard Correctional Center. So Illinoisians paid for Gacy for 14 years.
Illinoisans? That's a hard one.
Illinoisans.
That's awful.
So this guy, Gacy spent 14 years on death row at the Menard Correctional Center in Chester, Illinois, where he was a model prisoner.
Of course.
And where he painted. Gacy painted a lot.
Yeah.
Lots of creepy stuff, too, like skulls and clowns mostly. And today, his paintings sell anywhere from $20 to $20,000.
From $20.
Because I was looking for one.
Yeah,
I'll be completely honest.
Dude, I want one.
And I'm sure I just lost listeners, but I can't afford them.
No, I mean, it's historical memorabilia. I get it. I mean, I don't... You know, it's funny that I don't think it's as bad as people getting Nazi memorabilia because there was such a circus.
Oh no, there's a huge subculture for that.
Oh no, I'm saying, but I don't. Like I'm saying, I feel that's way worse. That's my point.
Oh, the Nazi memorabilia
than getting a Gacy painting.
I think they're both bad.
I mean, no, they're both bad. I think they're both bad.
Saying this.
No, I think they're both bad. I think one's like a lowercase b. You know what I'm saying? Because because I think it's one man caught dead. You know, like it's a one-off. The Nazis is not one-off. It's still going. In several ways, and obviously they went for a lot longer.
You got a point.
And it was systematic, and it was a culture as a government. It's a bigger thing. Historically speaking, bigger problem. Yeah. But like a lot more deaths too, millions. But I don't know. For some reason, I would kind of at least like to look at one. I'm still
looking.
Yeah,
I'm still trying to get my hands on one, even if it's a little shit.
Don't apologize. I mean, if you guys are out there and you listen to other serial killer or killer podcasts about this kind of thing, we're all freaks like this.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
You know the other one I'm trying to get? I almost bought.
What?
Was a handwritten letter by Ronnie DeFeo. Ronnie DeFeo is the one who committed the Amityville murders.
Oh, wow.
It was a handwritten letter by him. I almost had it. But
were you outbid or?
No, it was a price. It was a price. It was just an outward buy.
Yeah.
From a legitimate source. I just backed out. I chickened out.
Yeah, I hear you.
I chickened out.
May I ask the price? Or is that too much?
No, it was $700.
Oh, damn. Okay. Yeah, that's...
And I it's a lot, but I just couldn't do it.
I hear it. No.
I just couldn't do it.
That's extravagance.
And I can't find it anymore, so I kind of kicked myself for not buying it, but anyway.
Yeah, that's all right.
Now, one of Gacy's paintings, a painting he called Baseball Hall of Fame, this fucking guy, he actually got it signed by a number of prominent baseball players and by President Richard Nixon.
In prison he got that signed?
None of them, yes, but none of them knew at the time that the work was done by Gacy.
You're kidding me.
Nope. Now, a large chunk of his painting, because this pissed people off.
Yeah.
That he was selling paintings or trying to sell paintings. So what an investment firm did is they bought a huge chunk of Gacy's jailhouse paintings, and they burned them in a communal bonfire in Naperville, Illinois.
You're kidding.
In 1994. They spent all the money and they just fucking burned it all.
The fact that spend money,
that's crazy, right?
No, that's
the kind of hate these motherfuckers.
It reminds me of sorry again. This reminds me of an episode of Justified. I don't know if you've ever seen that show.
Mm-mm.
It's an FX. Yes, FX show. Very good show. Very, 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 very fun show. Elmore Leonard style show. And that fact that they meet during a case, they meet this one art curator guy who kept. In a way, it sounded like proudly boasting that he had this Hitler. You know, Hitler was an artist. He had a bunch of Hitler paintings that he would do his hardest to collect, find and collect. And he was a collector. And at the end, the first time he tells to the cop, like, "Oh, I have this collection. You want to see it?" I'm like, "No, I don't want to see it. It's gross up." It's like, "No, it's weird. I don't want to see that." And by the end of the episode, he convinces him, "You really should see my Hitler paintings." And he goes in there. He has a bunch of jars with ashes in them. He burnt all the paintings.
Oh, wow.
And he had ashes instead of the paintings.
Wow.
And that's what he did because his father was a victim. Anyway, but yeah, that's what he did. And it kind of reminds me of that.
It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, anyway.
And they're still, these Gacy paintings, they're still out there floating around. I could, if I wanted to drop the dough, I could buy one right now.
Imagine how many painted that this organization bought a lot, burned them in 94, and there's still some circling around out there.
Oh, no, he was prolific.
Damn.
Matter of fact, Joe Erie is trying to get his hands on one, too. Now, while he was on death row, like I said, he was on death row for 14 years. He was attacked twice, Gacy was, and he was stabbed both times. Once, he was stabbed by Henry Brisbane, who was the I-57 killer, a notorious serial killer.
Oh, wow.
Who jabbed him in the upper arm with the sharpened wire.
Any reason why?
Probably just didn't like him.
Yeah.
You know how that shit goes. Kill young kids. And
he's taking all our limelight.
Or that.
Even among serial killers, he's like the, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a good, famous version of it.
Yeah. If you have anything crimes with kids, you're fucked. You might as well take your life.
That's another one, yeah.
Might as well take your life.
Yeah.
And then he was also stabbed in the head by another guy named William Jones, another death row guy. But both injuries were minimal. Now, while he was in prison, this is nuts, and I tried so hard. But, all right, let me explain. While he was in prison, shortly before his time of death, he tried to raise money, Gacy did, for a last-minute death sentence appeal.
Oh, wow.
And on March 1st, 1994, John Wayne Gacy set up his own 1-900 number, 1-900-622-GACY, where for $1.99 a minute, $1.99 a minute, you could call in and hear the ramblings of a fucking asshole claiming his innocence and calling himself the 34th victim in his case.
You're kidding me.
Nope. To listen to the message in its entirety, 12 minutes long, a caller would pay a total of $24. And I will tell you, Oscar, I tried so fucking hard to get my hands on a recording of this call to play on the show. I even contacted lawyers involved in the original case.
Yeah.
Never got a reply. So I'm sorry, listeners. I tried.
That would be so cool if we could play it.
Man.
I mean, you know what I mean. Historically awesome.
No, it would have been great for the podcast. I mean, let's just say it like it is. That would have been something.
I mean, it's sad, but this is what hits, man. Also, damn.
Yes. Now, luckily, the 1-900 scam didn't work.
Right.
And Gacy was never able to pull enough money together to launch an appeal.
Right.
But he had his own fucking 900 number. You better believe I called that number, too.
Yeah.
Just to see if anything was still there, and it's not.
What is it?
It was just the number you called.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But I tried contacting two of the original lawyers. He actually hired a publicity firm out of Florida to help him launch this 1-900 number. I tried looking up that company. It's no longer in existence. To see if anyone had a record or a recording.
Anyone swallowed up that company, like as a merger?
Nothing.
Oh.
I couldn't find a damn thing.
Damn.
So, and I tried hard. I contacted the Library of Congress to see if they had it on record. Nothing. So
somebody's got this. And
there's no mention anywhere of how much he actually made through this 900 number.
Because I'm sure it wasn't zero.
No, it wasn't zero. Guaranteed.
Yeah.
Just a morbid curiosity. People would call.
Fuck, I might have you call.
Right.
I won't call. So how I said that?
Yes. Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, on May 9th, 1994, Gacy was transferred to Statesville Correctional Center in Crest Hill, Illinois. There, that day, he had a picnic with his family. His last meal was a dozen deep-fried shrimp, a family bucket of KFC, French fries, a pound of strawberries, and a large Diet Coke.
Wow.
Actually sounds kind of good.
That doesn't sound bad.
That's a pretty good last meal.
I'm kind of hungry.
That motherfucker, that. Now,
but KFC, is that like a jab at his own life? Oh, my God.
I know, right? Knowing him, it probably was.
Yeah.
I'm the colonel, damn it, you know?
Yeah, and if we know more about his history that we don't know because we weren't there, his probably dad loved shrimp or something.
Yeah. Now, later that night, after the picnic and this awesome meal, he observed prayer with a Catholic priest. And later that night, he was executed by lethal injection. Now, in a funny twist of fate, the executioner botched the lethal injection job. So they had to stop and then restart Gacy's execution. Now, in total, it took Gacy 18 hopefully agonizing minutes to die.
Probably did on purpose.
And it's possible. It is possible.
I mean,
it's not unheard of.
Of course that's not unheard of. They're humans. Everyone involved in there. I mean, you can say they're completely separated from the same way like doctors or lawyers can be about certain clients. They can be as much as they want. They can be provoking about it. They can still have feelings about it.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, they're humans.
Yeah. No, I'm going to get him one last time.
Very like Green Mile, although that's more positive.
Yeah. And they said it hurt. There was a lot of pain there.
Yeah.
So
good.
And at 12:58 a.m. on May 10th, 1994, John Wayne Gacy was pronounced dead by congestive heart failure brought on by lethal amounts of potassium chloride.
Yep.
The lethal injection. You want to know what Gacy's last words were to the world? Kiss my ass.
Was it really?
Honest to God. That was his last words spoken in this world.
Funny enough, not the first or the last that's been said.
Yeah. And if you guys are interested, listeners, I'll leave a link to Gacy's official death certificate in the show notes.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of stuff in the show notes, guys, just so you know.
Yes, definitely.
So please make sure and check that out. Now, after Gacy was executed, during his official autopsy, his brain was removed and given to and is held in trust by someone called Dr. Helen Morrison, a forensic psychologist who specialized in serial killers.
Of course.
And who spent a lot of time with Gacy in his room at Cermak Hospital in the Cook County Jail before testifying for the defense that Gacy was legally insane.
Oh, is this during the trial phase of his actions?
She spoke trying to prove his insanity during the trial. But obviously after the trial's over, he's executed. He told her, I want you to... Here, I'll continue.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry.
No.
I'm getting ahead of you.
Now, to this day, Dr. Morrison keeps Gacy's brain in a glass jar in her basement, in a secured area, in her home in Chicago. Gacy wanted her to keep his brain to examine it for abnormalities and to look for commonalities between himself and other violent killers.
Of course. I'm surprised it didn't go to fucking MIT.
Yeah. According to Dr. Morrison, Gacy's brain didn't exhibit a single abnormality whatsoever.
Given the inherited stuff with the whatever and the blunt force trauma as a kid and the blood clot that wasn't found out 8 years later or whatever.
That's right. No, according to her, nothing abnormal was found.
Of course, it could have been healed.
He had a perfectly normal brain.
Okay.
Dr. Morrison also has slices of all of Gacy's organs. Creepy. In her basement in Chicago to this day.
Wow.
It was Dr. Morrison's opinion that Gacy was unable to separate from his mother psychologically, and therefore Gacy never developed a separate identity. During the murders, she said, Gacy believed he was killing parts of himself that he didn't like. But because he was so prolific for so long and was able to dispose of the bodies so efficiently, insanity plea was thrown out of court. And of course, he was ultimately executed.
Right, because of all the the tricks and shit, all that pre-planning involved.
Exactly.
Intelligent design.
Yes.
Got it.
Yes.
All right. Yeah.
Now, after the autopsy was complete, officially, we lose track of John Wayne Gacy. No one knows what happened to his body. Gacy was either cremated or buried in a location that has never been disclosed publicly.
Oh.
The popular theory says that he's interred at Mary Hill Catholic Cemetery in Niles, Illinois, where his parents are buried.
Fuck, I drive by there every day.
Gacy, possibly.
Probably possible.
Or he was cremated, and his ashes given to one of his sisters. No one knows. It was never disclosed. So Gacy's gone. Now, all throughout his prison term and trial, Gacy claimed he was innocent, that the murders were actually carried out by his employees at the construction company, who had keys to his home. And I really think there may be something to this. Remember Robin Gett, Oscar?
I do.
Of the Chicago Ripper Crew, which we covered on Supernatural Occurrence Studies Podcast, episode 56.
Suddenly I have that to say the whole title.
Yeah, Gett, that psycho fuck. He was employed by Gacy.
Yes.
Now, even though the victim type in the Gacy murders doesn't fit the profile of the Ripper Crew murders, the Ripper Crew victims, it's still startling that the two had a connection. There are other theories I'll explore about Gacy's innocence or not being the only one committing these crimes, but those theories are for another episode I'm working on.
Yes.
Okay.
That you guys will be excited about.
Yeah.
I'm just going to tell you behind the scenes here.
So John Wayne Gacy, he always claimed there were 4 Johns, or more like 4 personalities.
Okay.
There was John the Clown, the entertainer, the one who dressed up as infamous Pogo the Clown to entertain kids. Then there was John the contractor and John the politician. But the 4th John, the one that went by Jack Hanley, or just Jack, that was the evil one. Jack Hanley was the holder of all of Gacy's hate and his never-ending deviant sexual appetites. Essentially, Jack Hanley was the killer. Gacy claimed that when he blacked out, Jack took over, and he wasn't aware what Jack did when he was in control of Gacy's mind and body. And Jack hated homosexuality, which is why the victims had to die, as a lot of them went to Gacy for money in exchange for sexual favors. Gacy told authorities that he usually killed his victims for one or two reasons. Because the victim demanded more money for sex than was originally agreed upon, or because they posed a threat to him by exposing his sexual preferences to his neighbors, family, friends.
Yeah.
So when Gacy was given this statement naming the reasons for his murders, who was speaking? If it was John speaking, which John was it? The entertainer? The politician? John the contractor?
Well, if it's a politician, that means liar. If it's a contractor, that means he's highballing you. If it's
That's good. Yeah, you're right. Or was it Jack Hanley speaking? It's impossible to say. Many people tried to diagnose John Wayne Gacy before, during, after his trial. Terms like schizophrenic, antisocial, multi-personality disorder, psychotic, and sociopath were all thrown around at various times. But at the end of the day, as we know, whatever crack diagnosis was assigned to him, he was held competent and stood trial and was convicted and executed. Now, if you're wondering whatever happened to Gacy's House of Horrors at 8213 West Somerdale, after it was torn apart by police agencies and everything dug up, excavated, and sifted through, the house was completely torn down in 79 and left to grow as an empty field for nearly 10 years.
Oh, wow.
The property... Now, imagine the fucking neighbors, right? Having to stare at this lot for 10 years.
That's probably the history of where people in news reports, even in real life, would say, like, oh, when they interview the neighbors, like, oh, he was always such a quiet guy.
And they
nice
did say
guy.
that.
No, I'm sure they did. So this is the beginning of it, right?
Yeah.
The trend of that becoming into fiction and reality.
Yeah.
Where the victims never know it's the best thing to be a neighbor of a serial killer because he'll never kill you.
Right.
Right.
I mean, one of the neighbors was like, no, he was a great guy. My house was open to him. His house was open to me.
Right.
Fuck.
Yeah,
you know? Now, the 8213 West Somerdale Avenue property, after growing for almost 10 years as just an empty, vacant, creepy, haunted lot, the property was purchased in 86.
Jamba Juice. Oh,
right. No.
Sorry.
The address, so the property was purchased in 86, and the address was changed from 8213 West Somerdale to 8215 West Somerdale to kind of avoid the stigma and start putting this thing to bed.
Right.
And in 1989, a 1,997 square foot contemporary single-story home was built, complete with a loft, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, an attached 2-car garage, a fireplace, and a half basement. The property last sold in 2004 for $300,000 and is worth just under $500,000 today.
Oh, man.
Now, growing up in the area, right, I remember vividly me and my friends riding our bikes past the Gacy house, but most of the time at night,
yes,
daring each other to go onto the property.
Right.
It was fucking freaky, man.
And this is before he was executed, right?
No, he was well dead.
Oh, he was well dead? Okay.
Yeah.
So you were past late 90s?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yep. So we'd drive past. It was always at night, and we'd dare each other to go up onto the property. I never did. It was just freaky, man. Just all the pain, the evil, the fucking devil lived on this property, you know? It was just so weird to be so close to that. I even brought my daughter. We were just talking about this tonight, right? When Talia came down to say hi to you. I brought my daughter past his house, and I explained in a roundabout way what happened there. Yeah. What happens to kids if they're not smart and they get themselves mixed up with the wrong crowd and what people are capable
gave your kid
of.
A bag of candy.
You did give my bag, you creep.
What the fuck am I? Okay.
But no, I even took Talia past there and explained in a roundabout way about killers.
Yeah.
Hiding in plain sight, you know? So I have another story about the Gacy house. This is... so back in the day, a group of my friends went to the Gacy house while the Gacy property while the new house was being built. I don't know if I ever told you this story.
Maybe.
So at the time when they went, it was just studs and concrete at that point. 2 carloads of people showed up. They pulled up to the house. Friends got out of their cars, and one of the girls that was there started fucking freaking out, crying and just begging everyone, we gotta go, we gotta get out of here. She kind of freaked everyone out, so they all got in their cars and they left. Later on, they asked her, WTF, man, what the fuck happened? She said, and she swears, she told me the story herself, she swears to God it's true. When she got out of the car, she looked up at this framed-out house, and there, upstairs in the left window, or what would be the left window upstairs, remember it was just studs.
Yeah.
But in that framed-out window, she swore to God she saw a boy looking like he was pulling at his own hair, and his mouth was open like he was screaming. And she said that he had this anguished look on his face. I'm getting goosebumps right now.
Wow.
Thinking about this image of possibly one of his victims still lingering, at the property. Ugh. Anyway, I'll leave links to the pictures of Gacy's original property. Bless you. I'll leave links in the show notes to Gacy's original property so you can see what that looks like, and the new house that was built there in this up left window where this girl swears she saw this ghost. So make sure, listeners, and check that out. Now, believe it or not, with a death toll sitting around a staggering 33, we think it's 33.
Right.
There could be more.
I mean, that's at least, right?
Yes, at least 33. There were victims of John Wayne Gacy that got away. Now, take, for example, Patrick Dottie, who kept his horrific run-in with Gacy secret for 40 years. Now, according to Dottie, in January 1972, when Dottie was just 9 years old, Gacy raped him in a bathroom at a department store on the corner of Belmont and Central in Chicago. That's the old Sears, right?
Yes. That
exactly.
is the old
Been there
Sears.
1,000 times. We used to play elevator tag.
I've only been there like 700 times.
Yeah.
Fuck.
We used to play elevator tag in there. And after he was finished with this poor 9-year-old kid, Gacy held a knife to the back of the child's neck and told him that if he ever told anybody about what happened, Gacy would track him down and kill him. After that, Gacy let the child go. Now,
very strange.
Yeah, that's fucked up.
Considering.
Man. Another one that got away is Jeffrey Rignall. This survivor of Gacy wrote a book in 1979 about his encounter with Gacy, his horrific encounter with Gacy.
Well, he wrote it in 1979, not that far after
no.
that. Wow, he was still a young lad when he wrote it.
Fresh on his mind.
Yeah.
And the book was called 29 Below, an homage to the bodies buried in Gacy's basement, right?
At the time, it was only 29 found out?
Well, remember, some were thrown in the river as well.
Right.
So,
okay, gotcha.
Now, Rignall was 26 years old in March of 1978 when he encountered Gacy while walking to a local gay bar in Rosemont, Illinois. Gacy offered Rignall a ride and some smoky smoke, some herb.
Tobacco, right?
This is the 70s. Rignall's like, fuck yeah, man. So he accepted the ride. But almost as soon as Rignall got into the car, he was chloroformed and knocked unconscious. Now, Rignall woke a few times on the way back to Gacy's house, so Gacy just fucking chloroformed it again and again.
Yeah.
This isn't good for a person, chloroforming right?
I think it inhibits brain damage, right?
Brain damage, liver damage.
Liver damage,
yes. Right. When Rignall, unconscious, when he finally woke up at Gacy's house, he was helplessly stuck in one of Gacy's torture devices that I haven't mentioned yet, called simply the rack. Now, Gacy's rack was of crude design, but it was very effective. The rack consisted of a wooden board suspended by chains with holes in the board where a victim's head and arms would go. It's said that Gacy got the idea for the rack from a Texas serial killer named Dean Corll, who was operating at nearly the same time in Texas as Gacy was here in Chicago.
How do you know about it? Public stuff?
But what do you, yes, reports, news reports, things like that. Victim escapees.
Those reports were out during the time of this kid's and other people's murders?
What do you mean?
Like, did he use this device while people knew the device used by this other guy in Texas?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So that's. I
asked very specifically because if people were in the dark during some of that stuff, like if he had made this before it was in news reports. That's all I'm asking.
No, it was. I think it was from escapees of Dean Corll,
gotcha,
who talked about being in this device.
Yeah.
So Gacy, they say, got the idea from this serial killer, and this guy, Whew. And we're not going to get into Dean Corll in this episode because we're going to cover him in a future podcast episode. Just believe me, Corll is a fucking nut.
Yeah.
So now imagine, you're Rignall. You're knocked out, unconscious, and you wake to find yourself immobile, unable to fight or flee because your head and arms are stuck in a crude wooden device suspended from the ceiling. And there, right in front of you, is a 230-pound plus John Wayne Gacy, completely naked and masturbating vigorously. That's exactly what Rignall woke up to.
Yeah.
When he woke up, Gacy described to Rignall in painful detail what he was planning to do to him with the host of sex toys. Gacy then proceeded to brutally rape and torture Rignall, all the while yelling, "You love it! You love it! You love it!" Like a drill instructor, Rignall said. I mean, these are horrible images. Gacy drugged him, knocked him unconscious with chloroform multiple times, and he whipped him. When Rignall was all used up, Gacy took his unconscious body and dumped it next to a statue in a Chicago park. And from what I could tell, it was the Alexander Hamilton statue near Diversey Avenue. Diversey Avenue was a hunting ground for Gacy. And if you're interested, I'll leave a link to a picture of what Rignall looked like after Gacy was done with them in the show notes. He was fucked up.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is another time. Rignall went to the police, and Gacy was questioned, but Gacy played it off as if it was nothing more than extremely rough sex by two consenting adults. Police bought the story, and Gacy was never charged with the kidnapping, rape, and torture of Jeffrey Rignall. Now, interestingly, Rignall said that at one point, while Gacy was raping and torturing him, there was another man in the room, doing absolutely nothing to stop the insanity. And it is a very popular theory that Gacy didn't act alone. We already mentioned this.
He did mention that in his report initially?
Yeah, there was another man in the room.
What year was this again?
Rignall was 72. Let me get right back up there.
So right before he started killing?
79.
79. So right before he got caught.
The book was written in 79.
No, book was... No, wait.
So this is before 79. 78.
So this happened to him in 78?
Yes.
And
yes.
So he was well into killing. Why didn't he kill this one?
It's kind of the whole question. Why did he let him go?
Also way older than usual.
Most, yeah. Way over the most.
Way older than most, right?
His opportunity, here's this guy walking, going to a gay bar. You know, right. That's part of the whole thing. He killed 33 people. Why did he let this guy go after he did so much to him? So, you know, of course, we've already talked about how Gacy didn't act alone, possibly. So who was this man? Who's this mystery man? And what does he have to do with the Gacy crimes? No one knows.
No other prints in this house? I guess not, right?
No, not really. Now, sadly, you know, Jeffrey Rignall died of complications due to AIDS in December 2000. So he's no longer here.
Yeah. You told me that.
So now at this point, I want to do something that's rarely, if ever, done. I want to tribute all the victims. Give all the names. Because most of them are often forgotten. Most people just focus on the wormwood star of the story, John Wayne Gacy himself. And usually just the first and last victims. Everyone else in the middle, they're never mentioned, and I think that's wrong. These young men and boys, they had families that loved them. There are mothers and fathers whose lives were completely ruined by what Gacy did. Mm-hmm. These victims had brothers and sisters and friends that missed them and wondered, in some cases for decades, what happened to their sibling or to their friend. Some families never even got the closure they deserve. So here, in the order authorities believe the murders happened, are the victims' names and the circumstances surrounding the disappearances, and how ultimately they were identified. Those that could be identified anyway.
And much like how a movie is nothing without their nameless audience, a killer is nothing without their victims.
That's a great point.
Yeah. Sad, but true. Very true. I mean, you wouldn't care a shit about his paintings. Nobody would. Right. Who would?
So I think it's right to do this.
Yeah.
You know, it's going to be a long list, 33.
Yeah.
But I think it's needed.
Yes, I think so too. This is very great.
Timothy Jack McCoy. 16 years old, and believed to be Gacy's first victim. Gacy picked up McCoy at a Chicago Loop Greyhound station on January 3rd, 1972. McCoy was heading to Omaha, Nebraska, but had an overnight stay in Chicago. Gacy saw McCoy at the bus station and offered to take the kid on a sightseeing tour, and said McCoy could stay at his place, and he would have McCoy back at the train station for his next train the next morning. McCoy never made it back to the train. When McCoy woke up the next morning, the story goes, he was making breakfast for Gacy to show appreciation for letting him spend the night. McCoy was holding the kitchen knife when Gacy found him in the kitchen. And Gacy freaked out. He banged McCoy's head against the bedroom door, took the knife away from him, and stabbed the poor kid multiple times in the chest. It's thought Gacy killed McCoy in his bedroom, where a large blood stain was later found under the bedroom carpet. Gacy later told authorities that he achieved orgasm while killing McCoy, and it was this murder that linked, in Gacy's mind, the act of killing with sexual pleasure. McCoy was later found in Gacy's crawlspace and was identified by dental records.
Victim number 28. Believed to be between 14 and 18 years old and stood around 5'6" to 5'11" tall.
John Butkovich, 18 years old, an employee of Gacy's who went to the home on Summerdale Avenue on July 31st, 1975, to demand his final paycheck. Butkovich was later found under Gacy's garage and was the first body uncovered on Gacy's property back in 1978. Dental records confirmed the man's identity.
Victim number 5. 22 to 32 years old, unidentified white male, 5'7" to 5'11" inches tall.
Daryl Sampson, 19 years old. Not much is known about this Sampson's disappearance, but his body was found in Gacy's crawlspace and identified around March 1980.
Samuel Stapleton, 14 years old. This is one of Gacy's youngest victims. Stapleton disappeared on his way home from his sister's house in May 1976, and he's reported missing the next day. Flash forward to when Gacy's crawlspace was being excavated by authorities. A distinctive bracelet was found on one of the bodies, and it is confirmed through the bracelet and dental x-rays that the remains were that of Samuel Stapleton.
Randall Reffitt, 15 years old. The circumstances surrounding Reffitt's disappearance is unclear, but what is clear is that the boy wound up in Gacy's basement. His body was found on December 25th, 1978, during excavation, and his identity was confirmed by dental x-rays.
Michael Bonin, 17 years old. Bonin disappeared in June 1976. A fishing license belonging to Bonin was found in Gacy's home. In 1979, it was confirmed that one of the bodies found in the crawlspace was that of Bonin.
William Carroll, 16 years old. Disappeared in June of 1976 after he was seen getting into a dark-colored car with 3 or 4 teens. Carroll's body was found in Gacy's crawlspace and identified in March 1979.
Victim number 26. 22 to 30 years old. This unidentified white male stood 5'2" to 5'6" inches tall and disappeared somewhere between June 13th, 1976 and August 6th, 1976. The body was discovered in the crawlspace, too badly decomposed to identify.
Jimmy Hackinson, 16 years old. St. Paul, Minnesota native that arrived in Chicago in August 1976. Gacy likely picked him up from the Loop Greyhound station. Nearly 40 years later, Hackinson was identified through DNA provided by his brother and sister. Hackinson, too, was found in the crawlspace.
Victim number 13. 17 to 21 years old. This unidentified white male stood between 5'11 and 5'6 and disappeared between August 6, 1976 and October 5th, 1976. Guess where the body was found?
Victim number 21. 21 to 27 years old. This unidentified white male stood between 5'8 and 6 feet tall. Thought to have disappeared around August 6, 1976 and August 25th, 1976.
Rick Johnson. 17 years old. Johnson was dropped off by his mother at the Aragon Ballroom to see a band called Spirit on August 6, 1976. He never returned from the concert. Johnson was identified as one of Gacy's victims by dental records in January 1979.
William George Bundy. 19 years old. Bundy was an accomplished diver and gymnast. In October 1976, Bundy tells family he's going to a party. He was never seen again. For 35 years, Bundy's family didn't know what happened to their son. Through DNA samples provided by Bundy's siblings, it was confirmed that Gacy killed the young man and buried him in the crawlspace.
Michael Marino. 14 years old. This is a crazy one and will eventually tie into something much bigger, but that's for a much later podcast. Michael Marino and his friend, 16-year-old Kenneth Parker, are last seen near a restaurant near Clark Street and Diversity Parkway, an intersection where Gacy was known to pick up many of his victims. It is thought that Gacy killed both boys at the same time because both bodies were later discovered together in a single grave in Gacy's crawlspace. Marino was identified in March 1980 by dental records provided by his mother. Parker was identified by x-rays of a broken arm bone. Now, years later, Michael Marino's mother claimed that the remains she buried were not those belonging to her young son, and that her son was not a victim of John Wayne Gacy. Again, this will tie into something else later.
Gregory Godzik. 17 years old. Worked for Gacy. Disappeared in December 1976 after leaving his home to go on a date with his girlfriend. Friends find Godzik's car abandoned, and friends, family, and a private investigator search for the missing man. Of course, Godzik's body was found in Gacy's crawlspace and identified by dental records in 1979. Gacy said he made Godzik dig his own grave.
John Sheets. 19 years old. Sheets disappeared in January 1977. In 1979, Sheets' body was found in crawlspace and identified through dental records. When police searched Gacy's home on that first warrant, and they found the 1979 Maine West High School ring. The ring belonged to John Sheets.
John Prestige. 20 years old. A Kalamazoo, Michigan native. In 1977, Prestige came to Chicago to visit a friend, and he finds work with the Chicago contractor. It's unclear if the contractor was Gacy, but Prestige's body turned up in Gacy's crawlspace, and he was identified by dental records.
Victim number 10. 17 to 20 years old. A white male, the victim standing somewhere between 5'7 to 5'11 inches tall. Disappeared around March 15th, 1977 to July 5th, 1977. Found in the crawlspace and was unable to be identified.
Matthew Bowman. 18 years old. Reported missing by his sister in July 1977. A body found in Gacy's basement was confirmed to be Bowman in January 1979.
Robert Gilroy. 18 years old. Gilroy was the son of Chicago police sergeant. In September 1977, Gilroy told his parents he's going horseback riding and he's never seen again, and isn't reported missing until September 27th of that same year, because his family thought he was out of town attending a class of some kind. The Gilroys lived 4 blocks from Gacy's house, where Robert Gilroy's body would be found in the crawlspace and identified by dental records in January 1979.
John Mowry, 19 years old, just got back home in Chicago after completing 18 months with the Marines. On September 25th, 1977, Mowry tells his family he's going out for the night, and he's never seen again. Through dental records, a body found in Gacy's crawlspace was proven to be that of John Mowry.
Russell Nelson, 21 or 22 years old. Nelson is believed to be Gacy's first victim from outside Chicago, the Chicago area. Nelson was engaged at a University of Minnesota student who came to Chicago to work for a local contractor. It is not clear if this contractor was Gacy. In October 1977, Nelson calls his mother to wish her a happy birthday. He was never heard from or seen again. In January 1976, Nelson's body was found in Gacy's crawlspace and identified through dental records.
Robert Winch, 18 years old. After running away from a Kalamazoo, Michigan foster home, Winch moved to Chicago, and he was last seen on November 11, 1977. Winch's unique tiger's eye belt buckle was found in Gacy's home, linking Gacy and Winch. Winch's body was found in Gacy's house and in the crawlspace and identified by marking on his bones that had been broken in an accident and then healed.
Tommy Boiling, 20 years old. Boiling was married and had a 3-year-old son at the time of his disappearance in November 1977. Boiling's wedding ring was found in Gacy's home, as was his body in the crawlspace, and he was identified by dental records in 79.
David Talsma, 20 years old. Talsma disappeared in December 1977. His body was found in Gacy's basement and identified in 1979 through x-rays of his left arm. Talsma's body was found on what would have been his 21st birthday.
William Kindred, 19 years old, disappeared in February 1978 after failing to arrive at his girlfriend's house. The girlfriend knew Gacy, but it's unclear if Kindred did too. Turns out Gacy picked up Kindred near Diversity Parkway, and his body was found in Gacy's crawlspace and identified through dental records in May 1979.
Timothy O'Rourke, 20 years old. O'Rourke disappeared in June 1978. O'Rourke was known to frequent gay bars that Gacy was known to visit. In June of 1978, a body was discovered near the Dresden Island Lock and Dam in the Illinois River, just 3 miles from where 2 more bodies were found. Fingerprints confirmed that the body was O'Rourke. Authorities believe O'Rourke was one of the victims Gacy tossed from the I-55 bridge into the Des Plaines River.
Frank Landingen, 19 years old, disappeared in November of 78. He was linked to Gacy after some of Landingen's personal items were found in Gacy's home. Landingen's naked body was found in the Des Plaines River at Chanahan, in Will County, Illinois. On November 12, 1978, he had died from asphyxia after a pair of bikini briefs were stuffed down his throat. Landingen was identified by his father, fingerprints, and dental records.
James Mojo Mazzaria, 20 years old. Mazzaria disappeared in November 1978. His body was discovered in the Des Plaines River at Chanahan in Will County, Illinois, on December 28, 1978. His body was identified through fingerprints. Gacy told investigators he dumped someone named Mojo in the Des Plaines River. Mojo was Mazzaria's nickname. Robert Piest, 15 years old, and believed to be Gacy's last victim. Piest was 15 going on 16 and worked at Nissan Drugstore on Touhy Avenue in Des Plaines, Illinois, on the border of O'Hare International Airport. Piest was working to save up for a Jeep. Just shy of becoming an Eagle Scout, Piest was an avid outdoorsman and nature photographer, and he thought a Jeep would get him to more untraveled places so he could do more outdoorsy stuff. Now, 2 years prior, the owners of Nissan's drugstore, Phil and Larry Torf, hired a pharmacy construction and redesign company called PE Systems to redesign their pharmacy. Supervisor on the job was John Wayne Gacy. Throughout the remodeling, Phil Torf and Gacy became passing friends. That's why, on the evening of December 11th, 1978, when Phil Torf had an idea to rearrange shelving in his pharmacy, he contacted Gacy, who by now was running his own construction company, to come in and lend some ideas. While Gacy was at the pharmacy talking shelves, he ran into Robert Piest and started talking to the boy and offered a summer job doing construction. And Piest was interested. He had that Jeep to save up for, after all. Later that evening, when Piest's mother came to pick him up from work, Robert Piest told his mom that about the construction job opportunity and that he had to go meet with the guy to talk specifics. Piest left his mother waiting, but he never returned. Shortly thereafter, when her son didn't return home, a missing persons report was filed with the Des Plaines Police Department. Phil Torf, the drugstore owner, was questioned, and he told police the construction guy that offered Robert Piest the job was John Wayne Gacy. Other people reported seeing Gacy's vehicle in the area around the time Piest went missing. When questioned by police, Gacy denied ever talking to the teen. And after looking into his background, police found other convictions Gacy had involving teenagers and forced sodomy and aggravated sexual assault, and that Gacy had done time. Convinced that Gacy had something to do with Robert Piest's disappearance, police obtained a search warrant, and investigators entered Gacy's home on Summerdale Avenue and found suspicious items, including a 1975 Maine West High School class ring, other people's driver's licenses, handcuffs, a syringe, rubber sexual instruments, dildos and shit, chains, mirrors, clothing that was too small for Gacy, and a photo receipt from the pharmacy where Piest had worked. As it turns out, Piest's girlfriend stuck the photo receipt into the pocket of Piest's parka, his jacket, which his girlfriend had been wearing for a time on the day Piest went missing, before giving the parka back to Piest. This key piece of evidence proved that Piest had been inside Gacy's home. Even though the photo receipt linked Piest and Gacy, it wasn't enough evidence to arrest Gacy, so he was put under 24-hour surveillance. He was followed everywhere he went. At one time, Gacy even told those surveying him that, quote, clowns could get away with murder, end quote. Then, on December 20th, 1978, for some fucking crazy reason, Gacy invited the surveillance team members into his home. And that's when the surveillance team members noticed a terrible smell coming from the heating vents. You see, during the previous search warrant visit, Gacy wasn't running the heat in his home. On this day, he was. And that's all it took. On December 21st, 1978, a second search warrant was obtained, and this time Gacy was arrested. Once Gacy was safely in jail, officers began to search his home once more. This time, when entering the 4-foot-high crawlspace area, where they didn't go during the first search warrant, that crawlspace under the house, investigators were overcome, hit in the face with the putrid stench of death and decaying bodies. And once digging in the crawlspace commenced, human remains were unearthed. Complete skeletons, partial remains, rotting clothes, all sitting under Gacy's home, covered in dirt and quicklime, waiting to be discovered. Gacy later admitted to killing Robert Piest and dumping his body in the Des Plaines River. Piest's body was recovered and identified on April 9th, 1979.